Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku was the Gadget hero part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, My Hero Academia fan 132 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. In a world where 80% of the population has quirks, most people aim to become a hero while others want to use their quirks in other way to gain power and control. Those people mostly become villains while others become heroes, or even higher than that, to gain control. In this world is a boy. He's just 10 years right now. He wants to be a hero more than anything else. The one problem, however, is the boy is quirkless and his name is Izuku Midoriya. Even though Izuku was quirkless, he still wanted to become a hero, and he was aiming to do so. Izuku has found motivation by a book he read 4 years ago. So right now we're going to move back 4 years in time when Izuku found his motivation to still become a hero while quirkless. Years back, Izuku was a boy just 6 years old. When he was 4 years old, his dream was crushed. Izuku wanted to be a hero, however was stated quirkless. This meant he basically had no way to become a hero, and yet he didn't want to give up. There would have to be a way to become a hero. Because he was quirkless, Izuku was bullied beyond belief. Izuku was being attacked on a daily basis. He was being called Deku, which meant worthless, and he was even called trash. People even told him he would be better off death because his life would be a worthless one. On this day, Katsuki Bakugo, Izuku's former best friend, was bullying him again and had already beaten him up with his quirk explosion. After the daily beating, Izuku headed towards the library. Ever since he was stated quirkless, Izuku headed towards the library to find something that could give him the power to continue aiming to be a hero. He just needed to find the motivation to gain the power to continue fighting for his goal. He didn't care about how hard he had to work to become a hero as long as he could be one. He was walking along the books as he searched for a book that could help him. There was a quirkless receptionist who always searched together with him. Today was the same. The first day Izuku arrived, he was covered in bruises, and just from the look in his eyes she understood what was going on, and she helped him ever since then. Izuku told her he was searching for a book that could give him hope to be able to become a pro hero. The receptionist always helped him search. She was quirkless herself and knew how he must have felt, and it meant so much for the boy to find hope. She just couldn't leave him on his own and helped him. It seemed like today would be another day without result, until Izuku found a book. It was a book about a person who was punished by the gods and transformed in a monkey. He, however, was human, just with a different appearance. However, he was quirkless in a world where most people had quirks. Izuku began reading it and learned about how the man became stronger and stronger. His name, 𝗪𝗏𝗃. It wasn't mentioned why he was punished, but there was a story on how his life went. Izuku read that 𝗪𝗏𝗃 trained all sorts of taekwondo. He had a lot of difficult fights. However, eventually he was the strongest quirkless person and was even stronger than most pro heroes. Eventually he rose to the top, and because of his appearance he was named the Monkey King and considered a fighting god. This was what Izuku was looking for. His hope he was looking for. Even though 𝗪𝗏𝗃 looked like a monkey, he was a person, and he was quirkless yet rose to the top. He surpassed everyone and was then even considered a god. If he would train taekwondo and train both body and soul, he could become like 𝗪𝗏𝗃. He knew it would take a lot of training and he had to work extremely hard, but he now knew it was doable and he was sure to work for it. Back to the present today, Izuku was practicing his taekwondo again. In the same book he read about 𝗪𝗏𝗃, and books besides that one were a lot of books about taekwondo. Izuku asked if he could borrow the books and was working on it from morning till evening. Inko, his mother, was mostly working. She didn't care that much anymore. She had to work but off for herself, and Izuku and barely made a living. She couldn't give Izuku the love she wanted to give him. However, she also didn't know how hard Izuku was working. She came home in the evening to eat and make some food for Izuku since he couldn't cook yet. Afterwards she had to work again and Izuku went to train again. He had trained for 4 years already. He was always trying to train. He either trained his body in power, speed, agility and endurance, or he trained his taekwondo. However, he trained both on a daily basis. At the age of 10, Izuku was already very fast and also powerful. He was extremely flexible and had amazing reflexes. But he also was able to endure a lot of hits. Bakugo's explosions weren't much to deal with anymore. He easily took them now at the LVL they were at. Even though Izuku was being bullied daily, he still felt like Bakugo was holding back on him. If Izuku needed a rest from his training, he would meditate. This would help calm him down, but it would also train him mentally. Recently, however, with some techniques 𝗵𝗃, he began seeing images in his head, almost as if they were flashbacks. However, they weren't from himself, they were from someone else. Sometimes he saw that person training, other times he saw an image of a very dangerous battle. However, it was the same person every time. And Izuku could have sworn he recognized the way the person looked. Almost like he had seen it already or had read about it. While meditating, he would float above a lake in his mind as he meditated in his inner world aswel. This time, however, Izuku wasn't alone. The figure appeared again, however this time much clearer than ever before. Izuku opened his eyes and without freaking out he looked at the figure. "Who are you? And how did you get here? This shouldn't be a place others would be able to reach," Izuku asked. Izuku knew he would be alone there because it was his own inner world. Or rather a world he created in his mind while meditating. "I think you know who I am. You either know who I am by reading, or you should be able to feel it, the feeling of something familiar," the figure stated. "You do seem familiar, and I have this feeling that I know you," Izuku explained. "Well, knowing me is a way to explain it, but not quite right," the figure stated with a smile. "Tell me, do you know my name?" the figure asked. "How would I know that?" Izuku asked, a bit confused. "Come on, I know you know me, look at me closely and think carefully," the figure stated. Izuku inspected the figure closely as then his eyes widened. 𝗏𝗵𝗃𝗁. Izuku asked, shocked. "Bingo, right, you are 𝗑𝗏𝗃𝗁 answered. "But how did you get here? Weren't you alive centuries ago? And how did you get into my mind?" Izuku asked. "You remember how I said that knowing me isn't quite right?" 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 asked as Izuku nodded. "The thing is, we are one and the same, you are me, but reincarnated," 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 said. Izuku was looking shocked and could barely believe it. "You're joking, right?" Izuku asked. "I imagine that you've recently started getting flashbacks of a person training, or someone fighting in a battle," 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 stated as Izuku was just surprised beyond words now. "Judging by your expression, I'm right, that person you saw, that's me. And you are seeing them because those are memories that are slowly coming back to you," she explained. "And the fact that I can appear in front of you in your own mind while not even living anymore should be an explanation," aswel, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 stated. With a smile. "Can't argue with that logic, but does that mean I have amazing power like you?" Izuku asked. "You learned the Taekwondo 𝗵𝗃𝗏 in my own life, and you are already very strong. You'll get even stronger in the future. However, that's all your own power. 𝗵𝗃𝗁, my own power, is something which will be extremely hard. Learning how to tap into it at will isn't that difficult. The problem is awakening the power within you is the problem. You'll eventually need a trigger to awaken my power," 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 explained. "However, in your current state you aren't ready to use that power. In fact, you'll need more years of training. It doesn't matter if it never awakens, it just means you've never had a need for it. Just continue the path you are walking right now. And just like me, you'll become very strong, and you'll be an amazing hero," 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 stated as he was slowly disappearing. "These are my final words before I completely disappear. Never change, stay just the way you are, don't lose yourself no matter what happens, and don't drown in the thirst for power. Good luck." Izuku Midoriya, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁 said as he then completely disappeared. Izuku opened his eyes again and was done with his meditation. He just couldn't believe that he was actually 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁's reincarnation. Then again, wasn't it to be expected? He had flashbacks of someone training, as well as fighting, but he also 𝗵𝗃𝗏 the Taekwondo at a fast rate, and it almost felt like he used the moves before he even practiced them. Izuku was still processing as he laid down on his back watching the clear blue sky. If it was true that he was the reincarnation of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗁, then it meant that he actually had a chance to become a hero just like he wanted to. That was everything Izuku ever wanted, and with this he actually had a chance. Of course, he had a lot of training to do before he would be ready, but at least now he had a chance. Ever since that day, Izuku trained like crazy. He was more motivated than ever before. He was determined to become the greatest hero just like 𝗧𝗵𝗲. He made up his mind he'd become the #1 hero and the strongest quirkless person in the world. Time skip. Izuku is now 15 years old and it was the last day at the school he was at. Alright everyone, here are the papers with options on what you can do in your future, the teacher stated. But who am I kidding, you all want to become heroes don't you? The teacher asked as everyone cheered while activating their quirks except for Izuku who didn't have a quirk and 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗏. Don't throw me together with those rejects, teach, 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 stated. The hell did you call us? Some of the students yelled. Let's be real, you can all be happy if you even become sidekicks. You pathetic rejects, 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 stated. Yes, Katsuki 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏, you are going for the entrance exam for UA, right? The teacher asked as he looked at 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏's file. Of course I am, I'm the only person here who has any chance to enroll, I'm the only one talented enough to make it in, 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 stated. Izuku Midoriya, it seems you are trying for 𝗧𝗏 aswel, the teacher stated. A thunderstrike could be heard in 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏's empty head as he heard it. Deku, what the hell? You and UA. You know that a quirkless little SHT like you can't make it in. 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 yelled. Man, you really are just like a troll, small and loud, Izuku said with a yawn. Just because you got some muscle and are taller than me doesn't mean you are above me. Have you forgotten that you are basically helpless against quirks? 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 asked with a grin. Oh, I'm so scared, someone please save me, Izuku said sarcastically. You think this is a fing joke? 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 yelled. Well, your life is, so I thought this was too, Izuku answered as 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 now had fire in his eyes as he was ready to murder Izuku. Now how about we all just calm down and sit down, the teacher stated. 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 did as he was told and sat down. After school, Izuku was walking back home. At this point he just avoids 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 and the bullying. He didn't show it, however for students his age he could basically be untouchable. Izuku however never showed this, no one knew he trained taekwondo, no one knew about his techniques, and no one knew that Izuku was actually very powerful. Even if he did have to fight someone, he just used the amount of power and speed he needed to defeat his enemy. He didn't want a show of his real power yet, so he held back his power. Right now, Izuku had 10 months until the entrance exam. Even if he was quirkless, he was still given a chance to take the exam. UA didn't expect someone quirkless to enter, however didn't want to take the chance away from people. In fact, if people knew Izuku's power they'd think he'd have a strength and speed enhancer. However, he actually was quirkless and there was no way to get around that. However, Izuku worked extremely hard to reach the level he was at and he was going to make it count too. Even his mother didn't know Izuku's actual power. She knew he was quirkless and that he worked out, that was all she knew. She was still working a lot, however she was shocked to hear that he was going to try to get into UA. Especially since Izuku promised to become an amazing hero and to make her proud. Since Izuku had 10 months of time, he decided to clean Dagobah Beach, that way he would still be training while also doing something for the people. First, he would enjoy the day, his mother had a day off and that was unusual, so he wanted to spend some time with her. Once he arrived at home, she had dinner ready, it was his favorite katsudon. So how was school? She asked. School was alright, boring but alright, Izuku answered with a smile. They both started eating dinner until 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 suddenly stopped. Izuku, are you really trying to get into UA? 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 asked. Yeah, there is nothing in the rules that quirkless people can enroll, even though they make the tests so mostly people quirks can only enroll. But it's not impossible, Izuku said with a smile on his face. But are you sure? Working as hero is already dangerous with a quirk, you are trying to be one without one. I'm not telling you to quit trying, I'm just asking if you are 100% sure, 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 stated. If you still want to be a hero, I'll support you as best as I can, she added with a concerned look. Don't worry mom, I'm very sure I want to do this, and besides if hero work is too dangerous I won't make it past the entrance exam, so don't worry, Izuku said as he walked towards his mother and hugged her. After that, they spent the evening just talking because of the many hours of work 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 had during the weeks. There was a lot she missed, and Izuku was telling her everything as well as watching a movie in the evening with her. He even told her he would clean Dagobah Beach, which surprised her but made her happy as well. After that, they went to bed since it was already pretty late. The next morning, Izuku was home alone, his mother had to leave early for work, and Izuku would start on cleaning the beach. He walked into the kitchen and saw a note from his mother which said that breakfast was ready in the microwave and she wished him good luck with the cleaning of the beach. Once he started, he noticed there was one factor he forgot. He didn't have a driving license, so he had no way of transporting it. By realizing this, Izuku face-bombed. Then suddenly a blonde man which looked like a walking skeleton walked up to Izuku. "Good morning, are you maybe having a problem?" The man asked. "Oh hello, yes, something like that. I was about to clean the beach. But I realized that I don't have a car or a truck or something to transport it, and I don't have a driving license. Sadly, I only realized this after I made a start. I see, maybe I could be of help with that. I wanted to see if I could find people to clean this beach. If you are willing to do that, then I'll help with the transportation," the man explained. "That would be very helpful, sir." "I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃 by the way," Izuku said. "Nice to meet you, young man. I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, the man answered. Afterwards, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 left to get a truck to move all of the trash away. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 came every day and also watched Izuku as he trained. But All Might noticed Izuku only used fighting styles as training. "Young Midoriya, do you have a speed and power enhancement quirk by any chance?" 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 asked. "Why would you think that?" Izuku asked. "Because you've been lifting the trash away like it's nothing, and during your trainings you are only training fighting styles," 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 explained. "Actually, I don't have a quirk at all. I'm quirkless," Izuku answered. "Are you for real?" 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 asked. "Yeah, but I've trained enough to reach this LVL, but I'm still getting stronger and stronger," Izuku answered with a smile. "So you are telling me you are this powerful without a quirk?" 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 asked as Izuku nodded. "I see. Let me ask you this. If there was a chance to suddenly gain a quirk, would you take it?" 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 asked curiously. "No. I've decided I'm going to try and become a hero with my own power. I accepted the fact that I'm quirkless and I'll rise with my strength, so even if I could obtain a quirk, which is impossible, I'd still stay like I am now," Izuku answered with a smile. He's really confident. It's not baseless confidence. I can just feel that he can back that confidence up, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 thought. The 10 months passed quickly. They only took a break when either 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 couldn't make it that day, and also during Izuku's birthday. Izuku did invite 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃 over for some cake and a drink, and even Inko took a day off for his birthday. The beach was completely cleaned by the time the 10 months passed, and it was finally time for Izuku's entrance exam. He arrived in front of UA and was looking at the school. "UA, the most prestigious hero school. If I make it in here, I made my first step to becoming a hero," Izuku thought as he walked towards the school. Izuku walked towards the gathering room for all the students who wanted to enroll. Once there, Present Mike arrived and he explained about how the entrance exam was going to be held. They would go towards a part of the fake city called Training Ground Beta at UA. The test was destroying villain robots. There were 4 kinds of robots. They scaled between 0 and 3 points. You had to have a certain amount of points to make it in UA. After the explanation, everyone was guided towards their designated side of the fake city. People from the same schools would be split up to prevent teaming up during the exam. For Izuku, it wouldn't mind that much since Bakugo hated Izuku for being quirkless. Everyone stood in front of the gates as Izuku was stretching his body. A boy which was also quite tall with short blue hair and glasses was watching Izuku closely since Izuku seemed so confident. "Begin," they all heard as the door opened up. The boy looked towards Izuku, however Izuku was gone. He looked inside, but he wasn't seen running inside either. "Come on, go. Life doesn't have a countdown either," Present Mike stated as everyone ran inside. Meanwhile, Izuku was already inside. He ran around pretty fastly as he destroyed robots with his bare hands and feet. He was breaking them like they were nothing, and the teachers too were also watching him closely. However, there was a figure who looked at Izuku with a smile. That man was known as All Might, also known as 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃. Izuku didn't know about it, but 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 was actually All Might. Izuku was destroying one after the other robot with extreme ease and didn't even show any sign of getting tired or weaker. That boy really is impressive. He moves at such a high pace with powerful attacks, but he's only using his bare hand, Midnight stated as she watched Izuku. "That's because that boy is quirkless," All Might stated. "You mean to tell me he destroys those robots that easily and moves that fast without the use of a quirk?" Midnight asked shocked. Interesting, 𝗧𝗏𝗧 stated as he saw it. And yet, I have the feeling he's holding back, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 stated as he looked closely. That's because he is, All Might answered. I've seen him train, and even then he showed more than he did right here, and back there he was holding back aswel. I don't know how strong this boy actually is. I do know people shouldn't underestimate him because he's Quirkless, All Might explained. A few minutes passed and there were only 2 minutes left. Let's see how they handle this, 𝗵𝗲 said as he opened a box with a red button as 𝗧𝗏𝗧 smashed his fist down on the button. Guess you are even more interested than me, 𝗵𝗍 stated towards 𝗧𝗏𝗧 with a smile. Meanwhile, at the training ground with the students, an alarm could be heard and a loud noise of breaking buildings and rubble crashing to the ground could be heard all around the training ground. Izuku heard it aswel and saw a lot of people running away. Instead of running away, Izuku ran towards the cause which made everyone run away. Once he arrived there, he saw a massive robot which towered above the buildings. That thing is huge, Izuku thought as he looked at it. But it's a 0-pointer, so there is basically no use in destroying it, but to think everyone here is too scared to face it, it's laughable, Izuku thought. Suddenly he heard a noise. He looked down and saw a frog-like girl stuck underneath rubble. This fic has 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 instead of 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 for no reason other than I like 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 more than 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. Izuku gritted his teeth. The others are too busy with running away, they probably won't notice what I'm about to do, Izuku thought. However, he couldn't be more wrong. The camera was on him constantly to see what he would do. The teachers saw him running towards the giant robot and wanted to know what he'd do. However, before they noticed, Izuku had disappeared from the screen and was next to the girl that was stuck. They were all shocked to see his speed, however what they saw next shocked them even more. The robot threw his fist towards Izuku and the girl on the ground, and instead of moving out of the way he jumped up while kicking towards the fist. The fist was launched back by just a simple kick from Izuku. The robot took a few steps back to regain balance. Izuku then ran towards it as the robot slammed its fist down again. This time, Izuku jumped on top of the fist and ran on top of its arm. He ran towards the robot's head before he jumped off from the robot's arm. Izuku jumped pretty high and suddenly yelled, "Blue Dragon Kick?" Out of his foot came a blue dragon which was launched at the robot's head. The attack crashed into the robot and blasted right through it. I honestly don't know how 𝗵𝗃 creates the blue dragon kicks out of nothing, yet he can use them, and since Izuku will be like 𝗵𝗃𝗃, he can too. Sorry for the weird explanation. Izuku was slowly falling towards the ground. He landed and quickly covered the girl on the ground as the robot was exploding. Even though Izuku was holding back, he still surprised everyone. His blue dragon kick appeared out of nothing while he was quirkless, and he showed a lot of power just by launching the arm away with a kick the first time. In fact, he could have jumped towards the robot if he wanted to, or jumped to a roof and then the rest towards the robot. Instead, he decided to run over the arm. He also mostly held back his speed, he only used it to get closer in time. "Are you alright?" Izuku asked as he got off the girl to shield her from the explosion. "Yeah, thanks to you," the frog-like girl answered. "That was amazing just now," she added. "Thanks, I'm just glad you are all right," Izuku answered with a soft smile. Izuku pulled the rubble off of her back, and afterwards Recovery Girl showed up. She healed the frog-like girl and Izuku left for home. He wasn't really tired, just nervous, mostly because he didn't know who had seen his power and he didn't know how much of it they saw. He tried holding back enough to not attract attention. However, a quirkless person pushing back a massive arm with just a kick and then kicking a blue dragon to a robot attracts a lot of attention. Luckily, he didn't show his full power. Then again, he wasn't really human now, was he? He might have been quirkless, but it's not like he's an ordinary human. He's the reincarnation of the Monkey King, who was basically a god. Then Aegean, nothing in his world was normal. He didn't know how he could use Blue Dragon Kick either. He just can, however he doesn't know where it comes from. Then again, he does abuse the SHT out of it to make things work. Weeks passed, and the letter from UA came in. Finally, Izuku learned that he made it into UA. Not only did he have enough villain points, he also had a lot of hero points for saving the girl like he did. This meant that the first step to becoming a hero was made, and from there on out, his road to the top finally begun. Izuku made it into UA. He had made a lot of villain points for destroying robots, however he also made a lot of hero points for saving the frog-like girl. Because of the flashback for saving that girl, He realized he never asked her name and was wondering how she was doing. She seemed pretty hurt with the rubble on top of her like that. Izuku told his mother the news on him making it into UA, and she was surprised yet extremely happy. Ever since Izuku was a little boy, he always wanted to become a hero. However, because of being quirkless, she thought that he'd never had the chance to even have a chance to become one, and yet, Izuku now made it into UA even while being quirkless. Izuku learned that UA worked with a dorm system, which meant that everyone would be living together as a class at the campus. At first, Izuku thought his mother would be sad because of it. However, instead of being sad, she was happy and relieved. He would be living with classmates, which meant he would have people around him, so he wouldn't be alone at home anymore for most of the time like before. Izuku told that this also meant that she didn't have to work as hard anymore. Everyone at UA gets a payment to be able to buy food so they can live, and 𝗵𝗃𝗄 had to work that much because she had to get food to be able to pay for 2 people. Luckily that wasn't the case anymore, so she was going to get more free time. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 was happy beyond words. This also meant she had time to go out with friends again. She explained that Mitsuki had called her a lot of times to come over, however she always had to work. Even her own boss told her to take it easy a bit. But she did feel bad that Izuku was going to get more pressured with dangerous work. Izuku, however, told her not to worry so much. He wanted to become a hero knowing full well what the risks are, and even though he knew it would get dangerous, he still wanted to go to UA. He still wanted to save people, however had another reason to be a hero, which he came up with recently. He wanted to show that quirkless doesn't mean helpless. Even quirkless people could become a hero to a certain degree. Izuku is just in a league of his own. So have you decided which stuff to take with you? Or which hero suit you want? 𝗵𝗃𝗄 asked. Yeah, I have an idea on the suit I want. As for the stuff, I'll only take some clothes and a copy of our family picture, Izuku answered with a smile. Nothing of you All Might stuff? 𝗵𝗃𝗄 asked, surprised. Nah, I'm not a little boy anymore, Izuku answered. No, I can see that, she answered with a smile and tears in her eyes. My baby boy is going to become a hero, she stated as she cried with a fountain of tears. Mom, come on, I'm not a little kid anymore, so can we please drop the baby boy part? Izuku asked a bit embarrassed. No matter how old, big and strong you get, you'll always be my baby boy, that's a mother's rule, she answered. Izuku facepalmed a bit embarrassed but then just smiled. Afterwards, Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗄 were celebrating that Izuku made it into UA. But first she called her boss that she could finally tone it down a bit. The boss smiled at that and gave her 1 month paid vacation for all the extra work she did for so long. She was working there for years, and all those years she did extra work and made overtime day after day. Since Izuku had 1 more week until UA started, he decided to stay his week at home with his mom. They had a lot of fun, even went away for a few days to relax. However, after the week ended, it was time for Izuku to head towards UA. He had a huge bag for his clothes and a few personal things like the family picture. Afterwards he headed towards UA. It was quite a long trip towards UA, and when he arrived he noticed teachers standing in front of UA, each with a board on which class they are. Izuku knew he would be in class 1A, and quite some people were already waiting in that group. Some students were talking, others were waiting till they could either go to the dorm or their classroom. After Izuku arrived, the last few students arrived. The teacher in front of them just walked them towards their dorm and explained about the common area. The bathrooms were in the common space too, but divided by gender. Everyone had to behave. As for bedrooms, the girls were on the left and the boys were on the right. Everyone was then given a list on whose room was where, and everyone went to their own room. Izuku easily found out that Bakugo was one of his classmates, and all Bakugo did was glare at him. Bakugo didn't understand how Izuku of all people made it in, because Bakugo was a person who saw quirkless people as worthless trash, something to step on while walking through. Izuku was someone he couldn't step on, and that set him off. Izuku dropped his stuff off in his room and went to his classroom. He decided to unpack after school. He made his way towards the class, however once he got there, he was the first person there, well apart from the teacher that brought them to the dorm. However, the teacher was laying in the corner of the room sleeping in a sleeping bag. Izuku sat down next to a window as he looked outside. After a few minutes, other students walked in aswel, however they were too busy talking to notice Izuku sitting there. Bakugo walked in aswel and sat down in front of Izuku. Even though Bakugo didn't like Izuku, He had two things that were always the same. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 always had to sit in the front, because he figured the most gifted had to sit in the front. And something else he always demanded was a seat next to a window, so he could look over other people. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 acted as if he was a ruler of something, as if he was a king. The irony being the person he hated the most actually being a reincarnation of the Monkey King. He sat down with his shoes on his desk and, immediately, a student rushed towards him. "Get your feet off that table right this instant," the guy said. "Shut up, Four Eyes," 𝗵𝗃𝗀 answered. Four Eyes. You can't just call people by such names. We are aiming to be heroes and they don't do such things. And the way you are sitting is disrespecting 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 aswel as the seniors who sat at this desk. The guy stated, "Put a sock in it, will ya? People are trying to nap." The teacher in the sleeping bag stated in annoyance. Once he got up, the last few students walked inside and everyone took a seat. "Finally everyone is here. From this point on I'll be your homeroom teacher. My name is 𝗧𝗏, the man explained. Now everyone put this P uniform on and meet me outside. I'm going to test just how capable you guys are," he stated as he gave the front row a stack of P uniforms. "A test already? Isn't the first day as introduction and to get used to each other and the school?" 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 asked. "Here at UA we teachers can make our lessons however we want them to be. If you want an easy life I would recommend that you leave now and look for another school," he stated as he walked out of the class. Everyone quickly went to change and met outside. "Now that everyone is here, I'm going to hold a fitness test to see just how capable you are of becoming a hero," 𝗧𝗏 stated. 𝗵𝗃𝗀, "Get over here," he said. "How far did you throw this ball before?" 𝗧𝗏 asked. "Around 69 meters, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 answered. "Now stand in that circle, throw it as hard as you can, anything goes as long as you stay in the circle," 𝗧𝗏 stated. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 grabbed the ball, stood in the circle, he smirked and threw the ball full force while shouting, "Go to hell." Everyone was surprised by the sudden shout but also the force 𝗵𝗃𝗀 threw it with. 𝗧𝗏 showed that 𝗵𝗃𝗀 threw around 710 meters. "I'll be noting your scores on every test to see what everyone can do like this," 𝗧𝗏 explained. "So it's like a competition, that's so fun," Mina stated happily. "Fun you say? You aren't here to have fun, being a hero isn't fun either, it's a serious matter. Let's make it more fun for you. The person in last place will be expelled," he explained as the mood turned grim. No one wanted to be expelled so they all had to do what they could. It started with a race of speed, however the test went differently than they expected. At first everyone thought that Ida would win since he had a speed quirk, however when it was Izuku's turn, the moment he was allowed to start he made it past the 100 meters in 3 seconds where Ida took 13 seconds and had second place. After that was the long jump. This was won by Azui who jumped the furthest with her frog-like jumping skills. The other tests went by quickly. Izuku didn't show his true power and held back during test as he got a lower score out of choice. This was because he didn't want to reveal his true power. Lastly was the ball throw. 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 had first place with her zero gravity as she got infinite, the ball she threw literally entered space. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 was in second place with his 710 meters. Right now it was Izuku's turn. It was the last test and he decided to give them a taste of his power. Izuku grabbed the ball and pulled back. He then threw it with a lot of force. Once he threw it, there was a lot of force also coming from the throw itself which created a wind pressure. Izuku looked around but was surprised when 𝗧𝗏's hair were up in the air and his cloth around his neck swirled up. Sir, what are you doing?" Izuku asked. So I guess the things I heard about you were true," 𝗧𝗏 stated as his hair went down and his cloth went to normal too. "What do you mean, sir? What things?" 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 asked. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲, you are Quirkless, aren't you?" 𝗧𝗏 asked. Everyone except for 𝗵𝗃𝗀 was surprised. "Your file showed Quirkless, but with power and speed you showed, and that attack you used during the entrance exam, it looked like you had a speed and power enhancement. The attack made it seem like you had an energy type quirk. However neither are right," 𝗧𝗏 explained. "Just now I used my erasure quirk, however it had no effect on you, your strength stayed the same," he added. "How far did he throw the ball then?" Kirishima asked. 750 meters, 𝗧𝗏 stated as everyone was now totally shocked. Even 𝗵𝗃𝗀 was shocked about that. 𝗵𝗃𝗀 threw that ball with all he had, yet the Quirkless Deku managed to throw further. What the hell? It's impossible. He shouted as he flew towards Izuku with explosions. However, Aizawa erased his quirk and caught him with the cloth. Don't make me use my quirk like this, it gives me dry eyes, he stated. Bakugo just growled while glaring at Izuku, who just calmly stood there. After that test, everyone was shown the results. In first place was Momo, in second was Izuku, third was Todoroki, and fourth was Bakugo. Not only was Bakugo not first place, he wasn't even in the top 3 while Izuku was. This set him off even more. Oh, and I lied about the expelling part, Aizawa explained. Mina, Shiro, Kaminari, Kirishima and Mineta were relieved to hear it. Wait, you mean you didn't know he was joking about that? Momo asked. Wait, you knew? Kaminari asked. Well, it was pretty obvious it was the best way to make us give it our all, she explained. After that, everyone changed back to their normal clothes. After Aizawa explained that the next day would be a hero training with All Might, the day went rather quickly with normal high school lessons. After that, everyone went to the dorm. Once there, they all sat down after the tiring first day. Bakugo ignored everything and immediately went to his room. Izuku also went to his own room to unpack. Afterwards, they all sat down in the common area to talk. Izuku Midoriya, right? Azui asked as she stood in front of Izuku. That's right, you are. Tsuyu Azui, right? Izuku asked. Call me Tsu, I didn't have the chance to thank you yet, so thank you very much for saving me during the entrance exam, she stated with a smile. Right, it was you, I saw how you saved Azui, I never thought you were Quirkless, Iida stated. Well, I really am Quirkless and you're welcome, Izuku answered with a smile to Azui. So how come you are so strong? Kirishima asked. I started training at a young age, even when I got a bit older I trained a lot, 'cause since I am Quirkless I need a lot more training than anyone else. So that's what I did. Izuku explained. Still, to be able to throw a ball 750 meters without a quirk? Just how powerful are you? I mean, you look like the same build as us and you are way stronger than any of us here, Kirishima stated. Well, it's still how do you use your power which makes the difference, Izuku stated with a smile. After that, everyone did a more detailed introduction round as they told their names, ages, quirks as well as some of their past. After that, it was already pretty late and everyone went to bed. The next morning everyone got up early and headed to class. Once there, everyone started talking some more. They all sat down when it was time and they waited for the teacher. Suddenly the door bursted open. I'm here. Entering class like a normal person, he stated, is that even considered normal? Shiro asked. Young man, that hurts my feelings, All Might stated. Who needs those? Bakugo asked. Can't miss what you don't have, Izuku said as some of the students chuckled by that remark. Bakugo, however, was doing his best not to react to it. Alright children, today we'll be having a hero training and the first training will be a combat training. All Might stated as everyone was a bit hesitant apart from Bakugo, who smirked like an idiot. Which he actually was. But what's a hero training without your hero suits? All Might stated as suitcases came out of a wall. They all grabbed their suitcases and changed into their hero suit. Everyone had already changed when Izuku appeared. Small reminder of his look, like the picture above, that suit, he also always has that hairstyle and his eyes are different. His eyes are black with yellow plus in his eyes. And he's 180. His classmates saw him walking in like that and were amazed by how it looked. It even left the girls in his class blushing madly. Now that everyone has changed, and I have to say you all have amazing hero suits, let's get on with the explanation on this hero training. All Might started. In this training, you will all be paired up with someone else. In teams of 2 you'll face off against each other, but not in just any kind of battle. This will be a hero versus villain training, he explained. First, one duo will enter and hide a fake bomb. After that, the heroes will enter the building. The hero team can win by either capturing both villains or touch the fake bomb. The heroes lose if you get taken out or when the time is up without having either captured the villains or touched the bomb. Every round will be a 20-minute round, All Might explained. The teams were made at random. Random, not random. The only change will be that Izuku is teaming up with Momo instead of Uraraka, so those two such the first teams were Bakugo and Iida versus Izuku and Momo. Bakugo and Iida were the villain team and headed inside. So what's the deal between you and Bakugo? It seems like he really hates you, Momo asked. That's because he does, Izuku answered with a sigh. Because I'm quirkless, Bakugo thinks I'm a worthless nobody, and he can't have it that I'm stronger than him, Izuku answered. Why is that? Being quirkless doesn't change a thing. I might be able to control things, however I need to know the materials needed to create it, and it takes my body fat. However, creating things takes a while, so if I don't have the time to create things, I'm the same as quirkless, yet I can become a hero, and you've shown you are capable too, she stated. True, I know you think that way, and I bet the others think similar like you, but to Bakugo, a powerful quirk and a lot of power is everything, and power is something Bakugo thinks a quirkless person shouldn't have, Izuku answered. I'm sure he'll easily forget about the real objective in this training and uses this chance to beat me into the ground, Izuku stated. That's horrible. Do you think the two of us can take him? Momo asked. Don't worry, I can take him myself. I know all too well how he moves, and he knows nothing about my fighting style, so don't worry about it. We should think of a plan to win this thing, Izuku said with a smile. Even though he's quirkless and someone wants to beat him, he's still so confident. It's incredible, she thought. Hero team, you may enter, All Might stated from the spectators' room. Everyone could hear what was being said during the training, however only All Might could actually communicate with the teams. Izuku and Momo walked inside and slowly made their way up the building. Eventually on the 3rd floor by the stairs to the 4th floor. Bakugo appeared with a sneak attack. Izuku grabbed Momo and quickly jumped back just in time. Now we finally got the chance, Deku, Bakugo stated as explosions formed in his hands. Time for what? Momo asked. Time to show this little 𝗧𝗃𝗃 that he's nothing. Bakugo yelled. Momo, can you go upstairs and look where the fake bomb is? Izuku asked silently. Are you sure? She asked. If you stay around you may get hurt in stray explosions. I don't want you to get hurt because he's being like this, Izuku stated softly. All right, good luck, she stated as she ran upstairs. So now it's just you and me, just like it's supposed to be, Bakugo stated as Izuku took a fighting stance. Bakugo came at Izuku with a right hook. Izuku quickly moved forward, smashed his elbow into Bakugo, then grabbed his arm and threw him over his shoulder into the ground. Bakugo got back up, angrier than ever before. I will kill you, Bakugo shouted in anger. He was about to throw an explosion, however Izuku countered it by slamming his foot forward into Bakugo's palm to block the explosion. It had its effect. Bakugo then tried throwing another explosion, however Izuku kicked the arm away as he then spinned around and kicked Bakugo to the chest, sending him flying. Bakugo was getting even angrier. He charged towards Izuku again, however instead of throwing an explosion he aimed his gauntlet and was about to pull the pin on the gauntlet. Take Heian, the transience of life, Izuku stated as Bakugo pulled the pin, however before the explosion even fired, Izuku disappeared and appeared behind Bakugo again as the explosion raged through the hall. Everyone was shocked after hearing that and seeing Izuku disappear like that. Bakugo turned around confused and angry at the same time. Izuku used that move again and dodged another explosion. He appeared behind Bakugo again and as Bakugo turned around, Izuku gave him a few punches to the face. He followed up with a powerful kick to the stomach. Afterwards Izuku pulls up his leg, slams his heel into Bakugo's neck following up with a kick to the head. Bakugo bounced off the wall as Izuku then closed in, jumped over him then slammed his leg into Bakugo's back. Izuku is amazing. Even against the powerful and destructive explosions of Bakugo, he's actually holding his own. Mina stated shocked. You're right, it's like he said, skill also determines who's better, Kirishima stated. Izuku and Bakugo both turn towards each other. Izuku runs towards Bakugo as Bakugo pulled up his arm. Izuku jumped and pushed the arm down as he starts turning his body. Renewal Taekwondo, triple kick? Izuku stated as he deflected the explosion by pushed the explosion away. Then while turning around Izuku gave Bakugo 3 kicks as Bakugo then was launched up. Izuku then jumped and gave a final kick to send Bakugo flying. Bakugo crashes into a wall as Izuku then heard Momo talking in his ear through the communicator. Izuku, I found the bomb, I'm going to try and grab it, is that alright? Momo asked. Do you have a plan? Izuku asked. I do, she answered. Go for it, if it doesn't work let me know then I'll head over there, Izuku answered as he concentrated on Bakugo again who had gotten up. You think you really are that much, huh? Bakugo asked. He however didn't know Izuku was holding back a lot of power. In fact, he used just enough power which was slightly overpowering him. Bakugo didn't know that if Izuku was to go all out, that he would be getting destroyed without being able to lift a finger. Izuku just took a stance. You always called me a quirkless piece of trash, a nobody. Today that nobody is going to beat you, Izuku stated. Over my dead body. Bakugo shouted. Come at me, you angry Pomeranian, Izuku stated, which set Bakugo off even more. Bakugo was about to throw an explosion at Izuku, who tried countering with a punch. However, Bakugo used his other arm to use an explosion and move over Izuku towards his back as he tried to shoot an explosion into Izuku's back. Izuku however expected this and quickly threw a kick to Bakugo's palm to block the explosion as both of them were pushed back. I'm sorry, Izuku, my plan didn't work, Momo stated. Don't worry, I'll be there in a second, Izuku answered through his communicator. I'm sorry, I don't have any more time to play around, Izuku stated. Don't think you'll leave this place. I'm not done with you and there is no way you'll beat me. Bakugo yelled. Izuku took a serious face and used a bit more power. Blue Dragon kicked, Izuku said as a blue dragon appeared which he kicked towards Bakugo. Bakugo was shocked by the sudden dragon and only was able to react at the last second using an explosion to stop the dragon. This created a big explosion and blew him back into a wall. Once the smoke cleared, Izuku was gone, which made Bakugo scream in anger. Izuku was running through the halls and easily found Momo. So how is it going? Izuku asked. Momo looked at him and was surprised to see him unharmed after all those explosions that she heard. Did you beat him? She asked. He'll be here any second, Izuku answered. Do you know a way to restrain him? Izuku asked. I can make something, yes, but you'll have to distract him, she answered. Don't worry about that, Izuku said as he ran forward and started attacking Ida. Izuku. Where is Bakugo? He asked a bit in panic. On his way. Until then I'll be your opponent, Izuku stated as he kept throwing kicks towards Ida while turning around while throwing kicks. All Izuku did was keep him distracted as Momo was making a cannon with sticky ammo. All right now, she said as Izuku jumped away. At that time she shot her cannon and Ida's legs were caught in the sticky ammo. Now we have to touch the fake bomb, she stated. However, once she said it, the wall blew up and Bakugo showed up. He was so angry that his eyes turned completely white as he gritted his teeth. Momo, do it? Izuku stated as he ran towards Bakugo to hold him off. Bakugo tried throwing an explosion as Izuku blocked it with a punch. This pushed both their arms back. Momo touched the bomb, however Bakugo still wouldn't stop even after his team lost. Young Bakugo stopped this at once. Your team lost. All Might stated. Bakugo answered by aching his communicator and breaking it. Damn it, he's too far gone to hear me and to listen. All Might stated as he wanted to rush out. However, as he turned around he heard Izuku say something silently. No one really was able to make out what he said except for All Might. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use more force this time, Izuku said silently. Izuku charged forward as Bakugo had jumped towards Izuku. Once Izuku got close to him he jumped forward. Renewal Taekwondo, triple kick? Izuku stated as he kicked 3 times while turning around. Once he did his kicks, Bakugo stopped mid-air while slowly being pushed up. Izuku passed Bakugo as he landed against the wall. He then used the wall as a springboard and launched at Bakugo as he slightly turned backwards as he slammed his leg into Bakugo's back, launching him into the wall and knocking him unconscious. Izuku had shown more power than he did before, and they were amazed by how Izuku was able to move, but also at how Izuku managed to knock Bakugo out. Bakugo was then brought to Recovery Girl's office as it was time for the next duos. Meanwhile, Izuku, Momo, and Ida got to the spectators' room. Izuku? She asked. Hey Momo, what's up? Izuku asked. Tell me, did you really need me during the test? She asked a bit uncomfortable. What do you mean? Izuku asked. I mean, you beat Bakugo so easily like it was nothing, and during the fitness test you were almost 10 times faster than Ida. You could have easily made it past Ida and grabbed the bomb, she stated. That speed back there was a fluke. As for how we did the test, it worked out, didn't it? You found the bomb and managed to catch it while I distracted Ida. We needed each other and won through team effort, Izuku answered as he then turned back to the screen. Asui walked next to Momo. What does he mean it was a fluke? He used that same speed to get close to me during the entrance exam, 𝗬𝗧𝗍 stated. I think he's holding himself back. I think he's a lot stronger and faster than we think he is, Momo answered. All the tests after Izuku and Momo went great aswel. Everyone showed good teamwork and what they were capable of except for Todoroki, who froze the entire building and casually walked to grab the bomb. The first and second day of UA passed, and so far everything turned out alright except for Bakugo losing control of his anger. According to All Might, the next day would be the sports festival. Normally the sports festival would be held 2 weeks after the start of the school year. However, they thought it would be better to hold it at the start of the week because everyone would have a fair chance since they didn't know much about others, their quirks. Both strengths and weaknesses were still unknown to others. This was the best chance for Izuku to show what he was capable of. All of Japan would watch it, and it was time to show that Quirkless didn't mean powerless. Of course, he wouldn't use his full power against classmates, not even in the sports festival. However, he would show the world that he, as a quirkless person, would be the people with quirks. The first 2 days of UA had passed. The first day had a fitness test, and Izuku showed off some of his power to show them that he had a right to be there and that he wasn't powerless. During day 2, there was a hero versus villain training. There Izuku showed off that he could fight. He handled Bakugo almost with ease. However, this was also because Bakugo was losing it. Bakugo was extremely angry that someone he saw as worthless and powerless was beating him. Eventually, Izuku used more power and defeated Bakugo. They hadn't seen him for the rest of the day, because he was either still recovering in Recovery Girl's office, or went to his room during the time everyone was at school. They could be sure that losing to Izuku hurt his pride and that he would take the next chance he could get to show Izuku that he was superior than him. This chance, however, came with day UA decided to hold the sports festival on day 3. This was so everyone had a fair chance to win since their strengths and weaknesses weren't revealed yet. It was still Tuesday and Class 1A except for Todoroki, who didn't concern himself with anyone else, and Bakugo, who didn't care and was either in his room or Recovery Girl's office. We're sitting in the common area. Man, that training was tough. Mina sighed as she sat down and stretched her back. Yeah, it sure was, working together with someone and not even knowing how he or she uses their quirks, and you have to beat a team who has quirks you don't understand yet either, Ojiro stated. Then again, in the field you'll encounter villains who has quirks you won't know, Jiraiya stated. Well, my power is easy to understand, Izuku stated. Would you believe me if I said yours is more confusing? Uraraka asked. How so? Izuku asked, confused. You are quirkless, yet hold a lot of power. You can use moves as if you have an energy quirk, and we haven't even seen everything you can do yet, Jiraiya explained. I see what you mean, Izuku answered. Still, the way you moved was incredible, Uraraka stated. Well, I trained to use all kinds of taekwondo. To me those moves are the same as every other movement I make. They aren't anything difficult to me anymore, Izuku answered. Well, to us they are pretty impressive. I mean, who knew someone could move like you do? And you are also extremely fast too, Mina stated. Izuku just chuckled a bit as Azui and Mina kept a close eye on him. They both think Izuku is holding back a lot more power than he has shown. In fact, Azui is sure of it. Izuku had used more power with the blue dragon kick against the gigantic robot than against Bakugo. Momo thought he was holding back aswel, not because she saw the entrance exam or things like that, but the fact Izuku easily got past Bakugo without really being harmed. Aswel is the fact that when he needed to, Izuku could use even more power when he needed to, and he wasn't even sweating from his fighting. They also caught a hint during the fitness test, where Ida took 13 seconds in the speed test. Izuku did it in 3 seconds. After that he hasn't shown that speed again, however they knew for sure it wasn't just a fluke. Azui saw it during the entrance exam aswel, so she knew he was using that speed at will but for some reason hiding it now. During their talk, some of the guys ordered dinner, and after the evening was over, everyone went to bed to be ready for the sports festival. The next morning, everyone got up early, and when they got downstairs, they were surprised. Their suitcases with their hero suits were standing around the front door. There was a note left on the suitcases. This year's sports festival will be held by students in their hero suits. Take your suit, head to the sports festival arena, change in your costumes and wait for further instructions. Everyone did as the note told them to. they grabbed their case and went towards the sports festival arena. Once there they noticed a lot of people already gathering to get a seat. Everyone knew that the sports festival was streamed all through Japan. So either people were lucky enough to be in the arena, or they had to watch it on TV or a giant screen. There were also a lot of pro heroes standing around. Since it was known when the sports festival was being held, a lot of people gathered, and since there would be a huge amount of people in one spot, it was easy for a villain to target it to make mass casualties. The students all changed into their hero suits. Once they did so, they had to wait for new orders. However, they immediately came and everyone had to head towards the field. They all did so, and once there, they saw that Class 1B was there as well as some other classes. Izuku and the others didn't know about those classes since they only heard of Class 1A and 1B. Most of them didn't really care and were just standing there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, are you all ready for this year's sports festival? Midnight asked as she held a mic in her hand. The crowd cheered so loud Izuku couldn't even hear himself think. Like you all know, this year's sports festival will be a bit different from usual, because not as it held earlier than usual, it's also being held by the students in their hero suits, she stated. This means that the students can use their powers to their fullest, and you get to see what they look like once they start doing real hero work, she added as the crowd cheered again. Alright, can Katsuki Bakugo from Class 1A come forward to share some encouraging words with us? Midnight asked as all of Class 1A had the same thought. Oh god, not him. Bakugo walked forward and stopped next to Midnight as he grabbed the mic. I promise that I will come out on top and beat those 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, Bakugo stated casually. The crowd went wild, but not in a good way. The other students from other classes wanted to attack him. Teach, those Class 1A kiddies think they are so special. We of Class 1B will show you that you are nothing special at all, Momo stated. Put a sock in it, Kendo stated as she neck chopped him. I'm sorry. Since he was assigned to Class B, he felt like he wasn't the main group and that you guys felt higher than us, she answered. Well, those thoughts can be real for Bakugo. He thinks he's higher than everyone's, Azui stated. The rest of us aren't like that, 𝗬𝗧𝗏 stated. Wait, we aren't? Izuku joked as Kendo and some of Class B just chuckled. Alright. Now with those encouraging words, let's head off to the first event. Keep in mind that this festival will only hold 2 events this year, and not many students will pass to the next round. She explained. All the students will then lead towards a door. The first event will be a race. Let's see who gets back into the arena first. Are you all ready? Midnight asked. Go, she then shouted as the door opened up. Todoroki immediately froze the entrance before he passed through. However, Izuku had already made it past him without Todoroki even noticing. Todoroki started running. However, students like Momo, Minato, Kirishima and Bakugo made it through already. Izuku had used the confusion from Todoroki's ice as a way to get to the front and move past Todoroki before he knew it. Since Todoroki thought he was in the front, he mostly focused on the people behind him. However, Izuku had used the speed he used in the test and created already quite a distance. Somehow no one noticed it. Eventually the students saw giant robots in the distance, but they then suddenly heard Present Mic, would you look at that? Izuku Midoriya has already reached the first obstacle and is moving past the giant robots like they aren't even there. Present Mic stated as this surprised the students that weren't even close to the robots. How did he? Bakugo and Todoroki asked in unison, confused. Izuku was now past the giant robots and kept running without thinking about it. However, he was obviously running very fast, faster than a normal human could run. He looked behind him and slowly saw Todoroki and Bakugo in the distance appearing. However, he still had a lead. Izuku arrived at the second obstacle, which was a huge pit. Somehow Izuku managed to run over it like it was normal ground, until he was halfway past it. Izuku slipped and was about to fall to the ground but managed to grab onto the rope he was using to pass the pit. He flipped a few times, then jumped towards the rope next to his and continued his way. It gave other students time to close to distance. However, Izuku still had a pretty far lead. After a while, he reached the minefield. He had been running a bit slower than he did before. Basically, he didn't see a need to use that speed at the moment. However, when he reached the minefield, Todoroki and Bakugo were suddenly closer than he thought. They were about to pass him. However, when Izuku noticed it, he sped up so they wouldn't get past him. Izuku was amazingly running throughout the opening between the mines. Bakugo easily passed it by flying over. Todoroki however stayed behind a bit, but he decided to make a field of ice, not thinking anymore at the fact that he would create a path for others. Todoroki was closing in on Izuku and Bakugo again, and it looked like the three of them would pass through at the same time. Izuku however grinned. He slammed his leg on a landmine and immediately at that time, he used the speed he used at the start to create a distance. The explosion of the landmine held Bakugo and Todoroki back for a second as Izuku arrived inside in the arena as everyone cheered loudly. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃 made it back first after he pulled a cheeky move to hold Katsuki Bakugo and Shoto Todoroki back. 𝗵𝘃𝗄𝗏 yelled. It wasn't a cheeky move, it was a tactical move. The landmines were there to hold students back. Using that to your advantage isn't cheeky, it's smart, Aizawa stated. Just like how destroying those robots with ice in a single move. What have you been teaching those kids? 𝗵𝘃𝗄𝗏 stated. Nothing of this sort, Aizawa answered as he wanted to explain but was cut off by 𝗵𝘃𝗄𝗏. There you have it, people. Aizawa is a terrible teacher, Mike stated. Do you want me to lose my job? Aizawa asked as everyone just laughed at the afterwards. Students arrived one after the other. Afterwards everyone had to gather again. Alright, now that everyone passed the first event, let's move on to the second event. This will be a battle in tournament style. You can defeat your opponent by knocking them out of off the ring, Midnight explained. 16 students passed the first round and the matchups will be Izuku vs ◵𝗪, Todoroki vs 𝗧𝗟𝗧, Kaminari vs 𝗵𝗲𝗏, Ida vs Mei, Mina vs Aoyama, Tokoyami vs Momo, Kirishima vs Tetsuetsu, Bakugo vs Uraraka. Basically the matchups are going to be the same. The second round will begin after our contestants had a little rest. In the meantime, the pro hero 𝗵𝗪𝗃 will make the fighting stage ready for our students, Midnight stated. Everyone had a 15-minute break. Izuku wanted to grab something to drink when Ojiro walked towards him. Izuku, you'll be fighting ◵𝗪𝗃, right? Ojiro asked. That's right, Izuku answered. Whatever you do, don't answer him, don't fall for it. The moment you do, you'll be hypnotized. He did the same to me. I only noticed after someone bumped into me and I heard you were already past the first obstacle, Ojiro stated. So not answering him, I get it. Thank you for the warning, Izuku answered with a smile. Izuku, can I talk with you? Todoroki asked. Sure, Izuku answered as they moved away from the others. Izuku, be honest, are you really quirkless? Todoroki asked. I am, Izuku answered in a serious tone. The way you move, it's almost as if you've got an enhancement quirk. You're fast, and by fast I mean really fast. Just now when you slammed that mine, you moved away before Bakugo and I could even react, but it was obvious you were holding back your speed, Todoroki stated as Izuku just listened. Are you by any chance holding back both your speed and power? Todoroki asked. I was just preserving stamina, and just like you and everyone else I'm also improving. As for the extent of my power and speed, you'll have to find out yourself, Izuku answered. However, what I do know is that you could have been faster. Your quirk is half hot, half cold. You could have combined the two to create a field of ice and glide forward with your flames. It could have made you way faster, Izuku answered. I won't be using my flames, Todoroki stated, which made Izuku frown. My father, he only sees me as a tool. These flames are from him. I reject the old man. I refuse to use his power to get stronger. I will get stronger by only using my ice and nothing else. By winning the sports festival like that, I'll show him that I don't need his power, Todoroki explained. Why does your father see you as a tool? Izuku asked curiously. My dad, 𝗵𝗃𝗏 the number 2 hero, he's jealous that he never managed to beat All Might. His strength never got close to that of All Might. He forcefully married to my mother because she used ice. The ice would help with the flames, Todoroki explained. Where my flames heat my body up, my ice could cool it down, and the other way around aswel. This should get me closer to the top by erasing a weakness of those flames. I want to surpass All Might, but not like this. I won't do it his way, that's why. I'm going to win with only my ice and I won't ever use my flames in combat, Todoroki stated as he walked off. Idiot, Izuku sighed as he walked off aswel. After he drank something, he heard that his match was about to start and that he had to head out to the field. Once there, 𝗫𝗏𝗃 was already there. So you didn't run away too scared to fight, 𝗫𝗏𝗃 said as Izuku walked up the stage. Let the first match of the tournament-style battles begin. Midnight yelled. Must be awesome, huh? Being in the hero course. 𝗫𝗏𝗃 asked as Izuku casually walked forward without answering. You all got such amazing quirks, I'm sure people envy you all. I mean only because of those amazing quirks you all got a chance to be in the hero course. That's something people like me and others don't have, 𝗫𝗏𝗃 stated, hoping to get a reaction out of Izuku. Izuku, however, still ignored him. 𝗫𝗏𝗃 was getting impatient, his tactic wasn't working. You all only got this chance because your quirks are useful. You don't know how to be seen as powerless, or to be called a villain just because of your quirk. 𝗫𝗏𝗃 yelled. Izuku then shot forward. He turned 180 degrees and slammed his foot into 𝗫𝗏𝗃's stomach, launching him off the stage. Winner. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃. Midnight yelled. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I don't have an amazing quirk like any of my classmates or like you. I can create explosions, create things, make things weightless or hypnotize others. In fact, I don't have a quirk at all. Izuku stated. The fact of the matter is, I'm quirkless and everything I achieved, aswel as my speed and power, I earned it through hard work, Izuku stated. There was some whispering amongst the crowd who heard Izuku say that he was quirkless when Aizawa suddenly spoke up. Just to clear things up, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃 is in fact quirkless. On day 1 I held a test where everyone used his quirk. I tried erasing Izuku's quirk and he still had amazing results. For those of you who think he's lying, you are dead wrong, Aizawa stated. 𝗫𝗏𝗃 aswel as Class 1B and everyone else watching was shocked. Izuku was the first quirkless person to ever enroll into UA. Everyone thought he had speed and power enhancement, but that wasn't the case. Right now, Izuku already showed that quirkless isn't powerless. However, there was still a lot more to show. Izuku helped 𝗫𝗏𝗃 up, then they both walked off the field towards the spectators' seats for their own classes. Good job, Ojiro stated as he held up his fist. Thanks for the warning. If I had answered him, then he would have probably won, Izuku stated as he fist bumped Ojiro. Next up was Todoroki versus 𝗧𝗏. However, Todoroki really wasn't in the mood after his loss in the first round and the talk he had with Izuku. The moment the match started, it also ended as he froze 𝗧𝗏 in a huge glacier of ice. Todoroki also immediately melted the ice when he heard he won. Next up was Kaminari versus 𝗵𝗲𝗄 from Class 1B. Kaminari first started hitting on her, seeing if he could get a date with her, however she painfully rejected him. This broke Kaminari's spirit and ego. He threw a bolt of lightning at 𝗵𝗲𝗄 while holding back a little, however she protected herself with her vines. Come on, let me at least win something. If it isn't your heart, then the match please, Kaminari stated. Really? Are you really getting that desperate? She asked. I can't become desperate if I already am, Kaminari answered. God, why am I matched up with you? She stated. Kaminari tried raising his lightning, however ended up frying his brain. Yay, he stated in his state as 𝗵𝗲𝗄 was laughing. She then grabbed his leg with a vine and threw him off, making her the winner. Next up was Iida versus Mei. However, that wasn't really a fight. She was mostly toying with Iida, showing off her babies as Iida shouted, "Fight me, woman." However, she just kept showing off, and once she was done, she just gave up, making Iida furious. Next was Mina versus 𝗲𝗵𝗄𝗃. 𝗲𝗵𝗃 was sparkling like usual. Mina was stretching to get ready for their battle. When the battle started, 𝗲𝗵𝗄𝗃 just started posing. Eventually he placed his hands behind his head as he humped forward while shooting a laser, which actually looked very wrong and weird to everyone. Mina dodged the lasers and eventually just threw her acid on the belt, making him powerless. This made 𝗲𝗵𝗄𝗃 panic as she uppercut him without mercy. She gave a huge proud grin as 𝗲𝗵𝗄𝗃 was having a panic attack by losing his belt, and Mina won. Then it was time for Tokoyami versus Momo. Momo, however, got a bit insecure. She and Todoroki were both there through recommendation, however she felt a huge gap between him and herself. Todoroki was extremely talented and strong with his quirk, where she failed with her plan to grab the bomb and needed Izuku's help. Todoroki did it like it wasn't even a problem. During the race, even while both on foot, Todoroki was a lot faster, and used his quirk like it was second nature, while she couldn't do a thing with her quirk. Right now she felt too insecure about herself, Most things she tried went wrong, while everything went right for him. The battle started and Momo tried creating a shield as 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 attacked her. She quickly jumped to the side to dodge him. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘, however, immediately went after her and kept attacking. All Momo could do was dodge it. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 was stronger than her, and she didn't have the time to create a thing. She sometimes ducked, jumped back or sideways, ran around 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗃, however nothing bought her enough time and she didn't have enough control to create something while on the move. Eventually 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 made a quick attack from above and crashed into the ground, creating some smoke. Momo used that to hide herself. She quickly created a powerful shield and after that, tried creating a weapon. However, before she was done with the weapon, 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 slammed into her shield which blew her back. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 kept attacking and when Momo finally had a weapon ready, 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘 knocked her out of bounds. Momo was shocked, but also disappointed. Another plan of her failed, and she was knocked out of bounds, before she even had a chance to fight back. She was frustrated, sad, disappointed in herself. She felt weak and worthless and she definitely showed it. However, no one understood the look she had except for Izuku. Izuku got up and walked off. "I'll be back in a bit, guys," Izuku stated as he left the seats for Class 1A. Izuku went downstairs. Normally he would have encountered Momo already for either the waiting room or the seats for Class 1A, however he was at the entrance for the field and he still hadn't found her. He wanted to walk back when he heard someone sobbing. "I hope I know what I get myself into," he thought as he sighed. He walked towards the sobbing and careful looked around the corner where he saw Momo sitting on the ground crying. Izuku slowly walked around the corner to not scare her. "Hey Momo," Izuku asked calmly and softly as she looked up, tears streaming down her face. "Izuku. What are you doing here?" she asked as she quickly tried to wipe away her tears. However, no matter how hard she tried, new ones would just stream out again. "I'm not so sure myself. I do know that I was looking for you," he answered. "For me?" she asked, a bit confused. "Is it all right if I sit with you?" Izuku asked as she nodded. There was a silence for a bit. "Well, what brought you here?" Momo suddenly asked. "Well, I wanted to say that I wanted to ask the usual questions like how you were holding up and such, but I know the look you had all too well, so I know that you aren't really doing too well at the moment," Izuku stated. "To be honest, I was thinking on what to say. I know how you feel, but I don't really know what to say since I'm not that good with words," Izuku stated as he looked towards the ceiling. "I bet you feel disappointed and sad, frustrated, and at this point you'll feel worthless because your plans failed, right?" Izuku asked. "I wanted to say you are wrong, but you are right," she stated. "But how do you know that?" she asked. "Because I've been the same. When it was stated that I was quirkless, I got bullied, people called me worthless and told me I'd be better off dead. I felt sad about it and was disappointed in myself. I always yelled I'd become the strongest hero, but I was disappointed that I ended up quirkless, aswel as sad and frustrated. My dream shattered at that point, and the bullying people didn't help," Izuku explained. "Just like you now, I also felt insecure about things," he answered. "But even after everything, I overcame it, and look at me now, I'm the first quirkless kid to enter UA and I'm actually holding up with all of you," he stated as she chuckled because of it. "I didn't know you had such a sad past," she said. "Yeah, well, it's nothing I'd like to remember," Izuku stated with a nervous smile. "I don't get it. Both Todoroki and I got in through recommendations, yet it seems like I am a joke. My plans kept failing and my quirk isn't as amazing as his, and yet I do everything wrong while he does everything right. Am I really that useless?" she asked. "Of course you aren't," Izuku answered. "He had more luck, so what? You are Momo Yaoyorozu, he is Shoto Todoroki, you both are different people," Izuku explained. "He has ice and flames. You have creation, he can do things you can't and you can do things he can't. I know one thing though, even if a plan failed, you don't lose your calm, you immediately start thinking of the next strategy, and who cares if you make a mistake here and there, we're humans, making mistakes is normal," Izuku answered. "They told me I was worthless and that I wouldn't be able to do a thing with my life. I proved them otherwise, and most of all I proved it to myself. Now you have to do the same. Don't accept the negative feelings you feel right now. Are you feeling disappointed, sad and angry because you made a mistake? Learn from those mistakes and improve. I know you can do it, and the best advice, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, you do too. Don't focus on how others do things, but do things how you would do it, Izuku said as he got up with a smile. If you think you are worthless, then get back up, learn your weakness and overcome it. Prove that you aren't worthless, but not to me or the class or anyone else. Prove it to yourself, and show yourself, you aren't here for nothing, Izuku explained as he gave her a kind smile. Having a weakness isn't bad, you need to know your weakness to be able to improve. If you don't search for your weaknesses or ignore them, you'll always stay the same. And I know you are someone who wants to keep moving forward, Izuku answered as he walked off. He stopped at the corner. You know what's so great about UA and the trainings? Izuku asked. What? She asked, curious but confused. Even if you make a mistake, you can try again. So no matter how many times it takes, if you make a mistake during a training, just learn from the mistakes you made and try again. Show them what an amazing hero you are. I know you can do it, he answered as he then left. Momo was surprised by everything he said. Even if Izuku was bad with words, he said the right things she needed to hear. And things she could think about. However, the fact that Izuku came looking for her made her happy. Even though she felt sad, she was smiling, and it was thanks to Izuku. Izuku went back to the seats for his class and noticed Kirishima and 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏's match was already over. It ended in a draw and Kirishima won with arm wrestling, making him go on to the next. Meanwhile, the match between 𝗬𝗧𝗏 and 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was finishing up. Izuku arrived when there was a lot of rubble in the air. 𝗬𝗧𝗏 undid her quirk to make it fall down, however 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 blew everything away, including 𝗬𝗧𝗏, who was unable to stand after that. They moved her to Recovery Girl's office as 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was the winner and had to wait for his next match. Meanwhile, Izuku went to the waiting room as 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 was repairing the stage. However, before he reached the waiting room, he encountered 𝗳𝗍𝗲. So you are the quirkless kid I heard about, 𝗳𝗍𝗲 stated. So you are the failure of a father called 𝗳𝗍𝗲, Izuku answered. 𝗧𝗏𝗃, just to let you know, don't stand in 𝗧𝗱𝗏's way, don't go making a fool of yourself and quit while you can, 𝗳𝗍𝗲 stated. You'd wish, are you that afraid of me? That you want me to quit beforehand? That's sad even for you, Izuku answered as he walked past 𝗳𝗍𝗲. You know, you have an incredible son, and you don't even know it. All you think of is your jealousy you have for All Might, and you are using him for it, but Todoroki isn't anything like you. I'm going to pull him to his own path so he can live his life the way he wants to, not the way you tell him to, Izuku stated. Listen here, you little itch. 𝗳𝗍𝗲 started, however was cut off as a foot appeared just an inch in front of his face. I've heard enough. Now shut up, I have a match to fight, Izuku said as he lowered his foot and walked towards the stage as he was being called for. He walked up the stage as Todoroki already was waiting for him. I'm going to beat you right here and now, Todoroki stated in a serious tone. You won't even touch me, Izuku answered as he took a fighting stance. Ready? Begin. Midnight yelled as Todoroki shot a glacier of ice. First stance, Black Tortoise. Izuku yelled as he slammed a powerful fist into the ice which destroyed the entire glacier. Everyone was looking shocked as Izuku so easily destroyed it. He then ran forward towards Todoroki. Todoroki shot a field of ice. However, Izuku quickly sidestepped it and was closing the distance at an incredible rate. Eventually he got close to Todoroki and gave a kick to his stomach. Todoroki coughed a little because of the kick as he tried shooting ice at Izuku, however Izuku easily destroyed it with a kick. While he kicked the ice, Izuku quickly turned around and slammed his other leg into Todoroki's chest, blowing him back. Blue Dragon Kick? Izuku yelled as he kicked a blue dragon towards Todoroki. Todoroki tried blocking it with his ice, however the dragon easily broke through and he was forced to jump away. Izuku however anticipated this and was already close to Todoroki. He threw a punch into Todoroki's face. He then grabbed Todoroki's arm and threw him into the air. Izuku jumped after him. Renewal Taekwondo, triple kick? Izuku yelled as he kicked Todoroki 3 times. He landed on his feet and a few seconds after, Todoroki landed on his back as he gasped for air and coughed. You are a joke, Izuku stated. Shut up, Todoroki answered. You are the one that should shut up, you are a disgrace to yourself, and you are insulting everyone who is trying his best here during the sports festival. Izuku yelled. You wanted to become the greatest hero, right? Then how about you start using those flames for yourself then? Izuku stated. Did my father pay you to make me use my flames? I told you I won't use those flames, I won't accept his power. Todoroki stated. You're an even bigger idiot than I thought, Izuku stated. Todoroki got up, however Izuku immediately charged at him. Are you really so dense that you can't see the obvious things? Izuku asked as he threw multiple punches to Todoroki's face. You are you, endeavor is endeavor. Izuku stated as he jumped and gave a heel kick to Todoroki's head. He still has his power, you may have gotten flames from his side, but those flames aren't his, they are yours. He doesn't control those flames. You do. Just like you control your own life and your own path. Izuku yelled. Open your eyes, Todoroki. It's your power, not his. Izuku yelled as he kicked a blue dragon kick. Todoroki was looking with wide eyes as he heard those words and saw the dragon fly his way. Before the dragon reached him, massive flames suddenly appeared. The blue dragon was gone and Todoroki, with flames around half his body, was standing there with a big grin on his face. Stop fooling around, you idiot, making your opponent use full power like that. Who is playing around now? Todoroki asked. Endeavor shouted. Did you finally accept that you need my power? That you can't do anything on your own? Endeavor shouted. Shut it, old man. From now on, I'm deciding for myself what I do and how I do it, Todoroki stated without even looking. Izuku had a big grin on his face. Now the real fight can begin, Izuku stated. He quickly ran forward as Todoroki switched between shooting a field of ice and shooting his flames. Izuku appeared before Todoroki as Todoroki tried throwing his flames at Izuku. Izuku countered by slamming his knee against Todoroki's arm to push it away as he then gave him a powerful kick. Todoroki stumbled back. He then was about to use his ice. Takeon, the transience of life. Izuku stated as he disappeared and appeared behind Todoroki. Todoroki threw his flames at Izuku, but he disappeared again. Izuku then gave a powerful fist to Todoroki's gut, followed up with a spinning kick. Todoroki was slowly getting out of breath also because he couldn't control his flames and drained more stamina. Let's end this, Izuku stated as Todoroki had a smile on his face. Todoroki was charging max power flames. Izuku created a blue dragon, however everyone was shocked when a second one appeared. Let's see you handle this. Twin blue dragon kick. Izuku yelled as he kicked both dragons towards Todoroki, who just shot his flames. Midnight and 𝗬𝗪𝗧 wanted to stop them since it was getting out of control, however were too late and the moves slammed into each other, creating a massive explosion. After a while the smoke cleared, Todoroki was on the ground next to the field, and Izuku was still standing. There were dark lines from how Izuku was pushed back, however was still standing and not even out of breath. Everyone cheered loudly as Izuku had won. Suddenly Endeavor floated onto the stage. You really went and did it? You put my own son against me? Endeavor yelled. You'll pay for that, he added as he took a step forward. However, in that instance, Izuku had closed the distance. He brought Endeavor off balance with his leg and pushed him to the ground with his arm. Endeavor was looking at Izuku in shock. You little brat, he yelled as he jumped up. Izuku dodged him, gave him a knee to the stomach and kicked Endeavor while spinning to the back of his head, launching him away. Everyone was surprised by how easily Izuku handled Endeavor, but Endeavor wasn't using his quirk. When he got back up, he used his Hellflame quirk and was about to blast Izuku with it to the face. However, Izuku just stood there. The face stopped an inch in front of his face as Aizawa erased his quirk from a distance. All Might arrived on the stage blocking Endeavor. 𝗬𝗪𝗧 stopped the fist with cement and Midnight knocked him out with her quirk to make him fall asleep. After that, it was time for the next match. Ida versus Ibra. Ida immediately used his speed to run around, however Ibra made him trip by quickly using a fine in front of his. Once he was down, she tried finishing him off, however Ida was faster than that. He then quickly closed the distance and used his engines to speed up his kick and make Ibra lose her balance. Then while spinning around, Ida slammed his leg into Ibra's gut, launching her off the stage, making Ida win. Next up, Mina versus Tokoyami. It started off pretty equal. Dark Shadow couldn't touch Mina, however Mina couldn't counter. She used her acid to keep Dark Shadow at a distance, however this also backfired, because some of the attacks missed. Acid was all around the floor. Eventually her own acid made her lose her balance, and 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 used this opening to first punch her in the gut, then tackle her and throw her out of the ring, making 𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗲 the winner. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 vs 𝗵𝘃𝗵𝗃 was next. However, this wasn't really a match. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 was just throwing explosions as 𝗵𝘃𝗵𝗃 tried to tank them. However, eventually his hardening was weakening while 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁's explosions didn't lose any power. Eventually 𝗵𝘃𝗵𝗃 fell on his back exhausted after forcing his hardening and the hits he took. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 was the winner. Izuku had to face off against 𝗳𝗃𝗃 next. Everyone knew 𝗳𝗃𝗃 was going to try to end this in one fast hit. Either he'd take Izuku out with it, or he'd lose. Ready? Midnight asked as 𝗳𝗃𝗃 activated his engines as blue energy shot out of it as he used his 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗏. Go, she stated as 𝗳𝗃𝗃 immediately shot forward at high speed. Izuku however managed to dodge 𝗳𝗃𝗃 with even greater speed and slammed his leg into 𝗳𝗃𝗃's back. This kick combined with the speed he already had pushed 𝗳𝗃𝗃 off the stage, making Izuku the winner. The last semi-final match was 𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 vs 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁. 𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 however fought differently compared to other matches. Normally he'd send 𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏 after his opponents. However, this time he stayed defensive. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 didn't really care, he just attacked. However, he quickly noticed that 𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏 was getting smaller and smaller every move until eventually 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 almost destroyed 𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏 and 𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 fell to the floor aswel. I give up, 𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 stated when he knew 𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏 had become too weak. This meant that 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 won the fight, and the final match would be Izuku against 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁. They had to fight again in such a short time. Midnight wanted to give some time for rest, however 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 stated that he wanted to start. Izuku got to the stage and stood in front of 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁. Both of them just stared at each other. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 had his angry look in his face again, but also a serious one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is what you've all been waiting for. The grand finale of the sports festival. Will the winner be the Quirkless Izuku, who has surprised us with amazing moves so far? Or will it be the powerful and talented 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁? Midnight asked as the crowd cheered. Take this seriously, if you don't you'll be blown away, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 stated. This surprised Izuku. He thought 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 would see him as nothing but a weakling, a worthless one at that, and yet here he was saying that Izuku should be serious about this. Same to you, Izuku stated as he took a fighting stance. Ready? Begin. Midnight yelled as Izuku disappeared and appeared before 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 again. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 had wide eyes from Izuku's speed. However, with his amazing reflexes and a calm mind, he managed to dodge a fist to the face. This made Izuku smirk. So you are finally fighting with a calm mind and your real skill, Izuku stated. You won't beat me, you just got lucky yesterday, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 stated. That win was nothing to be proud about, you weren't yourself, Izuku stated as he jumped back a few times. I'll admit this, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 stated. You aren't as worthless like I thought you were, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 stated as he too took a stance now. Izuku was surprised but smiled. Thanks, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁, Izuku silently said. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 shot forward towards Izuku. He threw an explosion which Izuku blocked with a punch. The both of them slightly got pushed back. Izuku then jumped forward as he gave 3 quick kicks, first to 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁's leg, then his side, followed by a quick kick to the head. However, the one to the head was blocked. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 countered with a powerful explosion as Izuku used his transience of life. Where Izuku normally appeared behind his enemy, he appeared to the side now, which threw 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 off. Izuku jumped and gave a spinning kick to 𝗵𝘃𝗁's gut, who grabbed the leg to keep Izuku close as he then slammed a powerful explosion into Izuku. Izuku was blown back by it as 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁 immediately charged at Izuku again. He tried throwing an explosion mid-air, however Izuku kicked the arm away. Renewal Taekwondo, triple kick? Izuku yelled as he gave his 3 kicks which dealt some damage on 𝗵𝘃𝗁. Izuku was already using more power than he displayed in earlier matches, even than he used the days before. Both of them landed on the floor again. 𝗵𝘃𝗁 this time got in for close combat, which surprised everyone. This also threw Izuku off his game. Izuku tried throwing a punch, however the gauntlet pushed his arm away, which left him open. 𝗵𝘃𝗁 then tried slamming an explosion in Izuku, who blocked with his other arm. The explosion was stopped. Just how strong are you really? I can tell you are still holding back on me, 𝗵𝘃𝗁 stated as Izuku grinned. Sorry, can't help it, maybe you should try a bit harder, Izuku stated with a grin. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as he acted like he was going to pull the pin out of his gauntlet. Izuku had wide eyes and wanted to jump away, however his arm was grabbed as 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 smirked. He slammed his other arm into Izuku's side while using an explosion. Izuku took it head-on and was blown to the side. "Not bad," Izuku said with a smirk. "You know, for a quirkless body your body is sturdy as hell," 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. "Well, you are pretty tough too," Izuku answered as he then used his twin blue dragon kick. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 countered with a powerful explosion of his one. "What's going on?" Aizawa thought as he saw the match. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 is getting stronger, but he's obviously also getting tired from using such high power. Izuku on the other hand still looks like he is just enjoying the moment. He gradually shows off more power, but he doesn't have a drop of sweat on his face. Just how strong is he? Aizawa thought. Both their attacks clashed together and created a huge explosion. Both were pushed back a bit. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 then pulled up his gauntlet. Izuku slammed his foot backwards over the ground. "Time to show you another move of mine," Izuku stated. "Blue Dragon Tempest?" Izuku yelled as he gave a kick forward, creating a very powerful blast of air which looked like a dragon. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 pulled the pin and shot a massive blast of his own. The two moves got together and created a massive explosion. Both Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 were still standing, however the stage was broken everywhere. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 then ran forward and slammed his palm with an explosion towards Izuku. "First stance, Black Tortoise," he said as he countered 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁's explosive palm which pushed 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 back a little. Izuku immediately used his blue dragon kick as the dragon slammed into 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁, who took the full force of it. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was seen breathing after he took the blue dragon kick. Izuku on the other hand was still fine after all that. If you are quirkless then you simply aren't human. There is no way you can hold that much power and still not feel tired, and you really aren't human if you are holding even more power than that, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated as he breathed. Izuku just smiled. "I think it's time to finish this," Izuku stated. He used his blue dragon kick, however even though 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 didn't have enough strength left to move his legs in time, he used his explosions with whatever strength he had left. He managed to destroy the dragon. However, Izuku immediately followed with a twin blue dragon kick which slammed into him, throwing him off the stage, making Izuku the winner. And the winner is Izuku Midoriya. Midnight shouted as the entire crowd roared in a loud cheer. Izuku smiled and looked at the crowd as he held up his fist as a victory sign. After that, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was healed enough by Recovery Girl for the awarding ceremony. Everyone got their medals and afterwards, Class 1A went back to their dorm. Before they walked in, however, Momo grabbed Izuku's arm to talk. "So what's with you all of a sudden?" Izuku asked with a slight chuckle. "I wanted to say, thank you for being there for me when I was down," she said as she hugged him. Izuku hugged her back. "Don't mention it, I'm just glad I was able to help and you are feeling better now," Izuku answered as she nodded. "I also wanted to congratulate you. So congratulations," Momo said as she pulled him a little lower to her height and kissed his cheek before she then walked off to go inside in the dorm. Izuku was taken a bit by surprise. He didn't expect that. The sports festival had concluded. Izuku had won first place. He showed that quirkless doesn't mean powerless, and he showed that even quirkless people could reach a level high enough to be a hero if they trained hard enough. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 finally accepted that Izuku wasn't worthless. It wasn't really that they were becoming friends again, but it was a start. He was also glad that he was able to help Momo when she felt down, and by what he saw, it helped her a lot. Altogether, for Izuku, it was a wonderful day. The sports festival was over, and the day after was surprisingly normal. There were 3 days of school which were completely different from other schools, but the Thursday was normal. This was fine for Izuku, who now had time to think. He couldn't really understand Momo's reaction. Sure, he helped her, and he could understand the hug. He helped her when she felt desperate, but what did the kiss on the cheek mean? And why did he suddenly get very warm? And why did she blush when she quickly walked off? Those were things Izuku just couldn't understand. Then again, he also didn't know if he would find out or if he even should find out. It could also just be the moment they were in. Maybe it was nothing at all. Besides, she was from a rich family and had an amazing quirk. So why did she need a quirkless boy who was basically a god reincarnated in a human body who didn't have that much to offer to her? Even if Izuku was extremely powerful, he was confident in every way except on the feelings part. He got bullied a lot for being quirkless. This made it hard for him to think someone would ever like him, let alone in a romantic way. Then again, he already made friends. Before, he mostly sat down with 𝗬𝗧𝗪𝗏, aswel, and 𝗳𝗍𝗏 as a group, and since the sports festival, Todoroki started opening up and he actually sat with them. Even when they got back to the dorms, he started talking with Izuku and others and even thanked Izuku for opening his eyes and helping him. Bakugo started calming down a little aswel. He wasn't as harsh on Izuku like he used to. In fact, he sometimes observed Izuku with how he moved. Of course he did it secretly, but still he did. He observed Izuku around the dorm with how he acted in school, but even during a training. Izuku had noticed him watching but didn't say a thing about it. Bakugo saw for himself how kind and gentle Izuku was, but also how hard he worked to reach the level he was at. In fact, he joined the club of people who thought he was hiding even more power, and to be fair, they weren't wrong. His actual level was going to shock them. That was something that was for sure. Their fourth school day passed easily and quick. After school, Izuku's group decided to go to the mall, and out of the blue, Momo and 𝗲𝗓𝗏 joined them. Todoroki, who recently joined the group, also came. He thought it was a good idea to become better friends. All he thought about before was rejecting Endeavor, but he was starting to have friends now, which changed his way of thinking. Once at the shopping mall, they all had some fun. First they did some shopping, afterwards they grabbed a bite to eat at a nearby restaurant. Momo constantly threw secret glances towards Izuku. She thought he didn't notice it, however he actually did notice. He figured that she had her reasons for looking at him like that, but he shrugged it off since he was having a nice evening with his friends. After a successful evening, they all headed back. Aizawa told them they'd have a disaster rescue training the next day and that they would need their energy, so everyone headed back, and once back at the dorm, they went to bed so they were energetic. The next morning, it was time to get ready for the disaster rescue training. Everyone headed towards their classroom, grabbed their hero suits and changed. Once they had done that, they walked outside where Aizawa was waiting for them with a bus. "Alright, are you kids all ready?" Aizawa asked as everyone nodded. They all got on the bus as they drove off towards the facility. "Izuku, tell us honestly, just how strong are you?" Asui suddenly asked as she sat beside him. Bakugo, who was walking outside, suddenly looked up towards them, and even Aizawa slightly turned around. "What do you mean, Tsu?" Izuku asked. "I mean the amount of power you showed us." "It's not your full power," she stated. "What makes you think that?" Izuku asked curiously. "You ran an entire race, fought Todoroki and Bakugo while gradually using more power, and you were barely sweating at the end, and you used more power like it was nothing, but the fact you didn't even break a sweat makes me think you didn't even use your full power," she stated. "I just have a lot of stamina, and just like you guys, I keep improving," Izuku answered with a chuckle. "Well, now that you mention it, Asui is right. I don't think I ever saw you tense in a fight or sweat for that matter," Kirishima stated. "And you use a different amount of power against each and every one of us while you seem to be serious," he added. "Well, not everyone is at the same level, so using the same power I used to fight Bakugo against, for example, 𝗬𝗧, would be a bit overkill, don't you think?" Izuku asked. "Thanks, I appreciate the fact that you care. After the sports festival people keep saying you tried," 𝗬𝗧 sighed. "Sorry about that," Todoroki said. "It's alright, dude, it was a tournament, you beat me fair and square. It just hurts the pride I couldn't even lift a finger, but that's all good," 𝗬𝗧 answered with a smile. "But really, are you a lot more powerful than you showed us?" Kaminari then asked Izuku. "You'll have to find out for yourself sometime," Izuku stated with a smile. After a while, they reached the facility and everyone had to get off the bus. They all walked into the facility after Aizawa when they saw the situations, aswel as the pro hero 13. "Good morning everyone and welcome," 𝗧13 stated. "My name is Pro Hero 13 and I specialize in disaster rescue trainings, and this is my facility, the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short. I made this facility so I could help everyone learn how to handle disaster rescue trainings," she explained. "Where is All Might? Shouldn't he be here?" Aizawa asked. "He'll come later," she stated out loud for the others while whispering to Aizawa that he had reached his limit after doing hero work during minor incidents when he didn't have to. "Everything for the media teach," Aizawa said as he kicked a rock away. He really hates the media, Izuku thought. I didn't know there would be fake heroes with this training, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 stated. Man, 𝗬𝗧𝗏 really is pulling all the stops to teach us, 𝗧𝗏 stated with a smile as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 was shocked by what 𝗵𝗃𝗃 said. He immediately looked down towards the plaza where there was some kind of portal. The portal had villains coming out of it until the last 3 people passed through. Of them was a man covered in hands with light blue hair. Next to him was another figure covered in black fog, and on the other side was a weird creature. It had a strange beak on its head as well as a brain sticking out of its head. Nobody move, those are real villains, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. Izuku wanted to take a step forward anyway, however 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stopped him. The alarm isn't going off, 13 stated. Then they might have someone jamming the signals on their side, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. Try to get someone out for backup, I'll handle the villains in the plaza, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. Are you sure? You're normally a pro hero working in the shadows. You are known to take villains by surprise, erase their quirks and capture them quickly. You aren't really known for head-on battles, Izuku stated. I'll be fine, and you'll need more than one trick to become a pro hero, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated as he jumped down. However, the moment he did, the guy with the black fog appeared behind the group. Good day everyone, my name is 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 and we are the League of Villains. I'm sorry but we were under the impression that All Might would be here, he stated. All Might isn't here, 13 stated. She pointed her finger towards 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 to use her black hole quirk, however 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 opened 2 warp gates and redirected her quirk that way, so she got hurt by her own quirk to take her down. What do you need with All Might anyway? She asked. Isn't that obvious? We came to kill the symbol of peace, he answered. Class rep, get out of here. Get reinforcements. 13 then stated. Ida was hesitant at first but ran towards the door past 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃. You won't go anywhere, 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 stated as he went after Ida. Just try it. Bakugo and Kirishima yelled in unison as they launched towards 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃, however they just attacked the fog and passed through it. 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 wanted to go past them after 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 when he suddenly stopped. Izuku found some metal inside the fog and gave a powerful blow to it, and it certainly had its effect. Curse you? 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 stated. Yeah, curse your mother for making you, Izuku stated as he gave a powerful punch to the metal and 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃's fog retracted back to his body. This gave Ida enough time to escape. Demon you insects, 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 stated as he then tried forcing his warp gates on the students. Izuku managed to dodge the warp gate. Sorry but you won't get rid of me so easily, Izuku stated with a smirk as he cracked his fingers. Now where were we? He asked as he took a step forward. Meanwhile 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 was fighting the villains in the plaza. He kept erasing quirks all around him and because of his goggles, none of the villains knew whose quirk he was erasing. He captured one of them with his binding cloth and slammed that villain into another one. He then kicked one in the gut while following with a punch to someone else. He threw his binding cloth to the sides, captured 2 of them and slammed their heads against each other. Another villain charged towards him as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 kneed him to the jaw. He then jumped and gave a kick to someone's face. So far, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 was holding his own, until the man covered in hands moved in. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 and the villains started fighting. So are you the final boss? 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 asked as both threw some punches and a few kicks until 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 tried finishing with an elbow to the face. I have to admit, you pro heroes are so cool, holding your own against many, however your power is predictable, you erase quirks, but your hair reveals when you activate it, and your time got shorter after every use, the villain stated as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 had to undo his quirk. However the moment he did, flesh began crumbling from his elbow. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 had wide eyes and jumped back while erasing the villain's quirk. Afterwards the other villains started attacking 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 again. He tried fighting back, but it was a lot harder now that his right arm was out. Suddenly 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 appeared next to the villain covered in hands. However he was breathing heavily and obviously in pain. I'm sorry Tomura Shigaraki, I failed, one of them got out, and I wasn't able to stop the people on top of the stairs, 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 explained. 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃, I actually wanted to say that if your quirk wasn't so useful that I'd kill you, but how in the hell did you get beaten up enough to be breathing and in pain? Shigaraki asked. I don't know, I tried fighting the student, but he was so strong and fast, 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃 stated. Anyway, their backup is coming, which means All Might will be here soon. Why not welcome him with some corpses? Shigaraki stated as he slightly laughed. Hey pro hero, Earlier you asked me if I'm the final boss, but that's not right, Shigaraki stated. He is, Shigaraki stated as Nomu suddenly appeared beside Aizawa, who had wide eyes when he noticed that the weird creature was besides him. He turned to face it. When he did, the Nomu creature was about to slam his fist down on Aizawa. However, before the Nomu slammed down, it was blown away. Aizawa saw a blue dragon swallow the Nomu and crash it through the ground away from Aizawa. However, the power it held was unlike anything he had seen before, at least from that move. Aizawa looked towards the stairs and he saw Izuku casually and slowly walking down the stairs. Izuku, what the hell? Aizawa asked. However, he noticed something was up with Izuku. His eyes were hidden behind his eyes, and just looking at him felt different, especially after the power he noticed in the blue dragon. That's him. That's the 1-inch Kurogyri stated. Izuku walked forward as the remaining villains were too shocked by that attack from Izuku that they couldn't even move. Izuku stopped next to Aizawa. What are you doing here? I told you to stay up there, Aizawa stated a bit angrily but also worried. Everyone got split up, Izuku stated as this surprised Aizawa. Ida got out and is getting back up. 13 has been taken out, he added. Damn it, Aizawa answered. Uraraka, Koda, Siro and Mina are still upstairs. They are watching 13. Please go to them, Izuku stated. What about you? Aizawa asked. You wanted to know just how powerful I am, right? You're about to find out, Izuku answered. Just those words and the vibe Izuku was giving off gave Aizawa the chills. That blue dragon kick just now showed he was serious. Aizawa decided to do as Izuku said and leave it to him for now. He moved back upstairs, especially now that he couldn't use his right arm. However, instead of moving up all the way, he stopped halfway. That way he could still help if needed be, and he could prevent the villains from reaching the students and the wounded 13. So you are the famous Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless boy that won the sports festival, Shigaraki stated. Izuku, however, ignored him. But what do you think you can do? Quirkless or not, even people with quirks won't stand a chance against my Nomu. It's able to kill all might, Shigaraki stated as he clicked his fingers as the Nomu appeared again. You'll see that I'm not your everyday hero in training, Izuku answered. He looked at the Nomu as it just stood there. I see. Well then, Nomu, kill him first, Shigaraki stated. The Nomu charged forward and tried punching Izuku. However, Izuku jumped backwards to dodge it. He then gave a kick towards the Nomu's knee to bring it out of balance. He then followed up with a fist to the head. The Nomu was blown back by the force. For some reason, it was blown back, but Izuku didn't feel like he was doing any damage. The Nomu got back up and threw another punch. Izuku dodged the punch by sidestepping. He then grabbed the wrist, gave a kick to the back of the Nomu's head only to follow up by slamming his foot into its chest, making it stumble back. Izuku then jumped up and slammed his foot into the Nomu's beak and sended it flying. Incredible, it was too fast for me to even notice it moving, yet Izuku is fighting it like it's nothing, Aizawa stated as he watched the fight while being surprised. Just what are you? Shigaraki asked, a bit shocked. Aswel. A normal human couldn't do this. Especially not without a quirk. He yelled. I told you, I'm not your everyday hero in training, Izuku stated. Tisich nom. No more holding back. Kill him. Shigaraki shouted. The Nomu then suddenly shot towards Izuku with massive speed. Izuku, however, countered with the same kind of speed and both punched at the same time. Their fists clashed, however a shockwave was shot around from their clash. The shockwave was so big that it went throughout the entire USJ and it could be felt everywhere. Izuku then gave a kick to the Nomu's upper leg, then to his side he slammed his knee up as the Nomu wanted to punch him, only to giving a tornado roundhouse kick to the Nomu's head. The Nomu crashed with his head into the ground and crashed over to the other side of the plaza. At this point, both the villains as Aizawa were wondering if Izuku was even a normal human. Izuku was fighting at All Might's LVL. He was sending a creature flying which was supposed to be able to kill All Might, and yet Izuku was fighting it. However, this time Aizawa could see Izuku was serious, and that he wasn't holding back anymore. The Nomu got up again and jumped as he launched at Izuku. He was about to give a powerful punch from above, however Izuku used his triple kick which launched the Nomu up without landing its blow. Izuku landed back on the floor and immediately jumped up, cracking the floor underneath him as he did. He kicked the 𝗵𝗲 behind the head as this launched the 𝗵𝗲 into the ground with massive force which created a powerful explosion. Once Izuku landed again, the 𝗵𝗲 had gotten up and was now finally using his full power and speed. The 𝗵𝗲 managed to punch Izuku and launched him into a boulder. Izuku immediately got up again and shot towards the 𝗵𝗲 as he did the same. The 𝗵𝗲 was about to throw a punch again, however Izuku kicked the fist away and wanted to counter, however his leg was being grabbed by the 𝗵𝗲's other arm and he tried slamming Izuku into the floor. Izuku however landed on his hands, slammed his other leg into the hand and threw the 𝗵𝗲 with his feet away from him. Izuku landed on his feet again and immediately used his blue dragon kick again. The dragon slammed into the 𝗵𝗲, however it was only being pushed back, it barely had any effect on it. Don't bother, no matter how strong you are, this 𝗵𝗲 has shock absorb and regeneration, so there is no way you can beat it, Shigaraki stated. Shock absorption has a limit to it. My attack started doing damage some time ago, Izuku stated as this shocked Shigaraki. The 𝗵𝗲 launched at Izuku again. Izuku however used his first stance Black Tortoise to blow the 𝗵𝗲 back while releasing another massive shockwave. Afterwards Izuku kicked his right leg back over the ground behind him. Blue Dragon Tempest? Izuku yelled as he kicked the intense wind forward. The 𝗵𝗲 took it head-on and got slashes all over its body. However, since it saw the attack coming, it managed to take a defensive stance, so it didn't have the effect it should have had. The wounds were slowly healing and the 𝗵𝗲 charged back at Izuku as it threw a punch right at him. Izuku blocked it with his arms, however the 𝗵𝗲 followed quickly with another punch which slammed in his gut. The punch then pulled Izuku over the 𝗵𝗲's body as he got slammed into the ground by the fist. The 𝗵𝗲 threw an extremely fast barrage of punches as Izuku could only defend against it. He watched the punches closely and eventually spotted an opening. He kicked the 𝗵𝗲's arm away, then pushed himself up with his hands as he slammed his feet into the 𝗵𝗲's gut. At this point, Izuku was slightly bleeding from his head and he had a few cuts in his face, one on his forehead, the other under his eye. His hero suit's shirt was a bit ripped from the slam into the ground. Izuku got back up. He was breathing quite a bit from blocking those heavy blows. The 𝗵𝗲 however just went towards him again without hesitation. Izuku however disappeared. Takeon, the transience of life. Izuku stated as he appeared behind the 𝗵𝗲 as he punched it in the face the moment it turned around. Izuku landed his punch. However, the 𝗵𝗲 slammed his fist into Izuku before he was pushed back and Izuku was sent flying into another boulder. The 𝗵𝗲 jumped up and was about to give another punch from above. Izuku however jumped up towards it as he spinned around and gave a spinning kick towards the face which released another shockwave. Both were pushed back as the 𝗵𝗲 tried punching again. However, Izuku moved down as he passed underneath the fist to the 𝗵𝗲's back. Once behind the 𝗵𝗲, Izuku used the Blue Dragon Tempest again which slammed into the 𝗵𝗲's back as this launched him high up as he crashed into the wall just beneath the ceiling. Izuku was nearing his limit, and both he and the 𝗵𝗲 had sustained a good amount of damage. Time to finish this, Izuku stated as he took a fighting stance. The 𝗵𝗲 launched at Izuku again. Izuku countered his fist with the Black Tortoise again. He immediately followed with his triple kick as the first stance left the 𝗵𝗲 wide open. The triple kick launched him in the air. Once in the air, Izuku used his Blue Dragon kick to slam the 𝗵𝗲 into the ground. Once he slammed the 𝗵𝗲 into the ground, the 𝗵𝗲 bounced back up. Izuku then immediately followed with his twin Blue Dragon kick at full force. This ends it, Izuku shouted as the two dragons slammed into the 𝗵𝗲 which shot it through the roof far away. The students that saw it, as well as Aizawa and the villains, all had wide eyes and were looking in shock. Izuku just launched the 𝗵𝗲 away that was able to kill All Might. My 𝗵𝗲, what have you done to my 𝗵𝗲? Shigaraki shouted. I will kill you myself. Shigaraki yelled as he ran towards Izuku. Izuku noticed him coming and threw a kick at him. However, it was a lot slower than before and Shigaraki managed to kick it. Haha, got your leg. You know what happens now, right? Shigaraki asked. However, nothing happened. What? What's going on? Why won't it crumble away? He asked, shocked. Then he saw Aizawa activating his quirk on him. Izuku smirked, placed his hands on the ground, and while Shigaraki held his leg, Izuku turned around on his hands and slammed his hell from his other leg into Shigaraki's face, launching him back towards Kurojirai. Izuku got back up on his feet, however he was wobbly on his feet. Damn it, I've reached my limit, Izuku thought. Shigaraki and Kurohige wanted to come at him, however Aizawa made it down to Izuku, and right at the moment the villains wanted to charge towards them, Ida came back with All Might and the other teachers, leaving Shigaraki and Kurohige no other choice than to retreat. You win this time, heroes, but next time, you won't be so lucky, Shigaraki stated as he disappeared. Once they were gone, Izuku fell on his back, heavily breathing with his eyes closed. Aizawa was looking at him while being deep in thought. Meanwhile, the teachers were splitting up to help the other students that were separated. Luckily, everyone was uninjured. They explained that unknown shockwaves actually managed to save some of them, as this brought the villains off balance and left them open to counter them. It was Class 1A's first major villain attack, and they won. It was a hard battle, but Izuku managed to beat the 𝗵𝗃. However, with the quirks the 𝗵𝗃 had, Izuku was lucky that the 𝗵𝗃 was very simple-minded. If it was an actually person with those powers, he might have lost. But that wasn't the case. Izuku won, and Class 1A was saved, with the only one badly wounded being 13. Izuku defeated the 𝗵𝗃 that was able to kill All Might, however it really trained him of his energy. Aizawa, aswel as the students that watched the fight, couldn't even understand what just happened and how strong Izuku was. It seemed unreal, as if they were dreaming. A quirkless person, which was considered powerless compared to people with quirks, managed to beat a sports festival first with promising young new students, and now even fought against a monster able to kill All Might, while any other person there wouldn't have stood a chance. Aizawa stood next to Izuku, who laid on the ground breathing with his eyes closed. The teachers had already arrived and the villains had fled. The teachers split up to help the students at the disasters as All Might and 𝗍𝗬 walked towards Aizawa and a breathing Izuku. "Ah, Aizawa, I'm glad to see you are all right," 𝗍𝗬 stated as he sat on All Might's shoulder. "Well, not completely," Aizawa stated as he showed his arm, which had a bit of skin crumbled off of his elbow. "One of the villains did this with his quirks," he explained. "I see, but what happened here?" 𝗍𝗬 asked as he looked around. The shockwaves of force destroyed the ground as well as the attacks from both Izuku and the 𝗵𝗃. "We were called over because there would be a villain attack, and they claimed to be able to kill All Might, but if that was true, then how come the villains retreated the moment All Might arrived?" he asked. "It's true, the villains came to kill All Might. They had taken out 13, and there was this weird creature. It had a strange beak, a very muscled body, even more than All Might, as well as a brain on top of his head. They called it a 𝗵𝗃 and had multiple quirks," Aizawa explained. "Are you sure that he had multiple quirks?" All Might asked, shocked. "I am. The way I saw and heard it, he had shock absorption as well as regeneration. He also had the same kind of power like you. Luckily he had simple moves, nothing out of the ordinary. If was an actual person we probably would have been killed before you arrived," Aizawa explained as this raised concern for both 𝗍𝗬 and All Might. "But if that's the case, then where did it go?" All Might asked. Aizawa pointed towards a giant hole in the roof. "It got sent flying," Aizawa answered as All Might's eyes widened. "Who holds such power that they can take a monster like that on and send it flying?" 𝗍𝗬 asked. "Our very own monster right here," Aizawa said as he now pointed at Izuku. "That's not very nice," Izuku said while breathing. "You going to tell me otherwise?" Aizawa asked. "I mean, I guess I am, but still," Izuku answered. "You mean to tell me that Izuku fought it and won?" 𝗍𝗬 asked, surprised. "Sure did," Izuku said as he held his fingers with a V sign to show he won. 𝗍𝗬 and All Might were obviously thinking, "Let's head back to UA for now. 13 needs treatment, and I'm sure this has been a scary event for most of the students. Not everyone has a screw loose that they are being hyped up by this 𝗵𝗃𝗃," All Might stated. "Good idea," 𝗍𝗬 said as All Might lifted Izuku up. Everyone was brought back to UA except for 13, who was brought to the hospital. Once at UA, almost everyone went immediately to their rooms. The only ones still in the common area were Izuku, who laid on his back over a couch to heal up. He had some minor wounds, and luckily when they got back, his bleeding had already stopped. However, he still had the damage and was tired. With him was his usual group, Uraraka, Azui, Ida and Todoroki, and also Kirishima was there. Apart from them, everyone went to their room. They were all a bit shocked of what just happened with the sudden villain attack and all. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 on the other hand went to his room because he didn't care and didn't want to see the others who were scared. After a while, Momo, 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟 and 𝗬𝗂𝗧𝗏 came downstairs when Izuku and the others were talking. "Hey guys, what are you talking about?" 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟 asked a bit carefully. "We were talking about the villain attack from earlier, who was where and how it went," Izuku answered as he sat down. His body ached a lot but he was alright. "Man, you really seem like you've been hit by a train," 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟 then said. "I'd wish it was a train, it would have hurt a lot less," Izuku stated. Kirishima just explained how he and 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀 were inside a fake city where villains came from everywhere. Izuku said, "Yeah, but those were all weak. What about you girls?" Kirishima asked. "I was with 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗏, he almost froze me together with the villains cause he didn't see me," 𝗳𝗃𝗀𝗧𝗟 stated. "Sorry about that," 𝗳𝗱𝗪𝗏 said. "I sadly was stuck with 𝗵𝘃𝗲 on a boat. He placed traps everywhere with his quirk and when they entered the ship, they got stuck and we managed to get away," 𝗂𝗍𝗓 stated as she was still disgusted with the twerp. "Momo and I were stuck with 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 on a cliff. Villains had surrounded us there," 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟 stated as Momo nodded. "Still, that massive shockwave really saved our butts. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 had a knife to his throat as threatening so we wouldn't move, but the shockwave pushed him forward dropping his knife. We managed to beat them because of that," 𝗳𝗲𝗓 explained. "Where did that shockwave even come from?" Kirishima asked. "You mean you felt it too?" 𝗳𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗟 asked. "Yeah, when we got outside, 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀 and I had to stand firm to keep standing, the others were pushed over," he explained. Uraraka then looked towards Izuku who looked back while being silent. "You two seem like you know more about it," 𝗳𝗃𝗀𝗟 stated. Izuku didn't look at them and just looked away. Uraraka just sat there too. Kirishima wanted to ask something but the others suddenly all came down. "Hey guys," Mina said happily. "Hey Mina, what's up?" Kirishima asked with a smile. "How come you all came down at the same time?" 𝗳𝗲𝗓 asked. "I send everyone a message that we should just go downstairs instead of sulking in our own rooms," Mina explained. "So what were you talking about?" she then asked. "The villain attack just now, who was stuck where, then we came on the topic of the shockwaves," 𝗳𝗃𝗀𝗟 answered. Uraraka and Izuku however seemed to know more about those shockwaves, 𝗳𝗃𝗀𝗟 stated. "Yeah, about that. Izuku, how come you are such a mess? Where did you get thrown off to?" 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 asked. Izuku started. "He fought the villains in the plaza," Uraraka then said as Mina nodded. "Mina, 𝗂𝗧𝗏, 𝗂𝗃𝗀 and I were left with 13. Aizawa was about to be taken down by the weird creature they had when Izuku stepped in," Uraraka explained. "Wait, so you fought that thing?" 𝗳𝗲𝗓 asked the first part as Momo did the second. "I did," Izuku answered as he nodded. "Those shockwaves, they were from you, weren't they?" 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏 suddenly stated. Izuku nodded again as the others looked at him in shock. "But wait, 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏, how do you know?" Mina asked. "It was a hunch. During the sports festival when I fought him, I could tell he wasn't going all out. I'm sure the frog and Ponytail were having doubts too since they kept watching Izuku closely," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗏 stated. "We had our doubts too after he used so much speed like it was nothing," 𝗂𝗍𝗓 answered as Momo nodded. "Think about it, he created a huge distance during the race without any of us noticing. He fought his way through the tournament without breaking a sweat. Then there were all these shockwaves shortly after we were all separate," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏 explained. "I hate to admit it and this will be the only time I do so, but Izuku is way stronger than us," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏 stated as he gritted his teeth. "Never thought I would hear you ever say that," Izuku sighed. "But it's true, I held back against all of you. I mean, who would actually believe a quirkless boy to be so strong? You might have seen me like some kind of monster," Izuku sighed. "Thank God you held back," 𝗂𝗧𝗏 stated. "If you had used such power on any of us we'd be in huge trouble," he stated. "Alright, so now we know how strong he actually is. Can we sign my petition?" Todoroki asked. "What kind?" 𝗳𝗲𝗓 asked. "Where Izuku will beat up endeavors," Todoroki stated. "I'll sign," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏 stated calmly. "I must have been hit on the head harder than I thought," Izuku stated. "Maybe I should see Recovery Girl anyway," she added. "Why?" Uraraka asked. 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗏 being nice twice in a day. "Never happened before and is just impossible," Izuku answered. "I could try to murder your butt again, Deku," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗏𝗏 shouted. "See, that's more like the real 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗏𝗏," Izuku stated as everyone laughed. "I only said I'd sign because it was fun to see Endeavor getting so angry without being able to do a thing," 𝗵𝘃𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 answered. Truth be told, he might actually be a match for All Might with the power he used, 𝗧𝗏 stated. Like hell he is. Bakugo shouted. I'm going to beat him to a bloody pulp before he ever beats All Might, Bakugo stated as he stormed off. After that, everyone just sat down to talk about other stuff. The day passed very quickly and the weekend started. The next morning, Izuku woke up very early. In fact, he was up earlier than he would normally be on a school day. However, he wasn't the first one to be up. Once he got downstairs, Momo sat on the couch with her legs pulled up to her body as she had her head on her knees. Momo, are you alright? Izuku asked, however she didn't respond. Izuku walked towards her and softly tapped her shoulder. This pulled her back to reality but also scared her as she suddenly jumped away from him. Calm down, it's just me. I came to see if you were alright since you were spacing off like that, Izuku stated to calm her down. I'm sorry, I was just lost in thought, but what are you doing up so early? She asked. I don't know, I just woke up without being able to fall back asleep, so I decided to get up, but I could ask you the same thing. What are you doing up already? Izuku asked. I couldn't sleep, I'm still scared from what happened, she answered as she wanted to sit down again. Want to take a walk outside? Fresh air might do you good, Izuku said in a soft tone. She looked at him then nodded with a slight smile. Once outside they just started walking around UA. You want to talk about it? Izuku asked. There was a silence until Momo broke it. It's just we were going for a normal training, and before we knew it, villains arrived. Aizawa went to face them, 13 was down before we knew it, and then before we could even process everything, you, together with Bakugo and Kirishima, attacked the villain while everyone got separate, she explained. On that cliff we were surrounded by many villains. If it wasn't for the shockwaves from your fight, we would have been in big trouble, she stated. But the fact that you faced off against that monster, that made me more scared than being in the situation I was in, she stated. Why is that? It's not like you were in danger with the monster, silly, Izuku stated with a smile. That's true, but the thought of you getting hurt while fighting that thing. It scared me. What if you lost? You would have died and we would have lost you, she stated in a serious tone. She tried to sound angry, however instead of anger, Izuku heard concern and sadness as well as fear. Izuku placed his hand on her head. Don't worry, you are all safe, and I'm still here too, he said softly. They both stopped walking and Momo hugged him as tears silently streamed down her face. Izuku placed his arms around her and held her close. I didn't know you cared about me that much, Izuku answered. I mean, it's not like I'm anything special. I don't have an amazing quirk like you do, and I'm just a quirkless boy after all, Izuku stated as he felt Momo's grip around him tightening. You don't have to have an amazing quirk. You are amazing the way you are. Even if you got bullied, you got so powerful, and you are so kind and gentle. You help people whenever you can. You changed Todoroki and Bakugo, and you saved us all from that monster. You are more amazing than you realize, Momo stated. And the moment I felt like I wanted to give up, when I felt so down, you were there for me. The things you said to me helped me a lot, and I'm very thankful for it, she stated as she pulled back a little and looked at him. So don't go saying you are nothing special, because to me you are the most amazing person there is, Momo said softly as stepped on her toes and kissed Izuku softly on his lips. Izuku was surprised at first, however accepted it and returned the kiss. I'm sorry to interrupt your moment, Aizawa suddenly said as Izuku and Momo parted their kiss, taking them completely by surprise. Momo was blushing that she was caught kissing Izuku. Oh hey Aizawa, sorry, we didn't see you, Izuku stated. I just arrived. Izuku, could you come with me? There is something we'd like to talk to you about, Aizawa stated as Izuku nodded. Is it alright if Momo joins? Izuku asked. Well, it's about yesterday, so it's up to you, Aizawa answered. Well, if it's about my power, they'll find out eventually anyway, so it doesn't really matter if she hears it now, Izuku stated. Alright then, come with me, Aizawa stated as they walked towards 𝗫𝗍's office. Once there, the other teachers were there as well. Thank you for coming, Izuku, and good morning to both you and Momo, 𝗫𝗍 stated. Good morning, sir. I heard you wanted to talk to me about something. Izuku asked. That's right, after the incident yesterday, we realized just how powerful you are, 𝗫𝗍 stated. However, this also raises a different question, he stated. Alright, let's hear it, Izuku said as he had a feeling that he knew where this was going. We were glad that you are this powerful because thanks to you, everyone was safe and the 𝗵𝗲 was beaten. However, we'd like to know, how did you get so powerful? 𝗵𝗲 asked. Hold on, are you thinking Izuku secretly does have a quirk or that he did illegal things to gain power? Momo asked. It's alright Momo, I knew those questions would be coming either way. To answer those thoughts, I don't have a quirk. You may test me at a doctor if you want to, and I haven't done anything illegal, Izuku stated. We weren't actually thinking that, 𝗨𝗵𝗃 stated. If it was that easy to become so powerful, we would have had a lot of other people at the same level running around, both on our side and the villains their side, but you are way stronger while being quirkless while many young heroes train day in day out with their quirks, and you've reached a level which most pro heroes haven't even reached, he explained. Our questions was, are you really just a normal human? 𝗨𝗵𝗃 asked. There was a bit of a silence. Well, I guess I'm not really normal, but I am human I guess, Izuku sighed. Tell me, have you ever heard of the name 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃? Izuku asked. You mean the person punished by God to live with the appearance of a monkey? Momo asked as Izuku nodded. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃 may have had the appearance of a monkey, however he was still human. He trained taekwondo and became the first real hero without a quirk. In fact, he was considered a god later on, Izuku stated. I know about that, I've read or heard it somewhere before, Aizawa stated. I don't know if you'll believe me, but I'm the reincarnation of 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃, Izuku stated as they had wide eyes. I understand if you don't believe me. In fact, I couldn't really believe it myself. I read about his taekwondo in some books of his and started to train. However, while doing so, it felt like used those moves already before even trying them. After a while, I began seeing flashbacks and during meditation, I had contact with 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃 himself, Izuku explained. Honestly, I still can't believe it myself, but then again, reaching 𝗨𝗵𝗃's level while being a quirkless human without being as buffed as he is, I mean come on, I look like I could barely hold my own against 𝗵𝗃, Izuku chuckled. Still, it's still hard for myself to believe it, but what I said is the truth, Izuku added. 𝗵𝗃 stated. I honestly don't know if it's true or not. Young being basically a god reincarnated is an insane story, he added. Is it alright if we ask you to come back later? I need to talk with the other teachers, 𝗍𝗔 stated. Sure thing, Izuku said as he just turned around and walked off. Izuku, wait please. Momo said as she ran after him. Is it true? What you said I mean? She asked as she walked beside him. Do I have any reason to lie about it? Besides, what other explanation is there to my power? Izuku asked. Then why did you tell me you aren't anything special? You are basically a god, she stated. I'm reincarnated as a god. This is still my own power. It's nothing like how strong 𝗧𝗵𝗃 𝗵𝗃 was. In fact, I can't even tap into his power, Izuku stated. Still, you are Izuku Midoriya. Even if you can't tap into that power, you are you and you are still an amazing person, she stated. Thanks Momo, Izuku said with a smile. Still, why did you hide your power and the fact about your power, she asked. It's not really a special power, it's not a quirk, it's just the skill 𝗧𝗵𝗃 𝗵𝗃 had. I'm still quirkless and just a kid, Izuku answered. Besides, like you saw just now, who believes the story of the quirkless kid being a god, Izuku sighed. Suddenly Momo jumped in his back with her arms around his chest. I do, so shush, she stated in a teasing way. Well, someone cheered up nicely, Izuku joked. Well, that's what a kiss from a god does, she teased. Besides, I have to admit, apart from being kind and gentle, gods are really hot, she stated as she watched Izuku. The girls he attracts are too, Izuku answered as she jumped off his back. She walked in front of him and kissed him again. Are you going to tell the others about it, she asked. About us or my power, he asked. Both, she answered. They'll realize it on their own about us. As for my power, as long as I can hide it I want to try to, Izuku answered. I don't want them to treat me differently or think I'm some kind of freak, Izuku answered. Before reaching the exit of UA, Izuku was asked by the teachers to come back to 𝗍𝗔's office. He sighed and went back to the office. Welcome back, 𝗍𝗔 stated. We've discussed on the fact if we could believe your story, he said. Some of us thought it was an unbelievable story, however there are some who believed you, and then there was a part with doubts, 𝗍𝗔 explained. We've decided to trust you and believe what you just said, he suddenly said. This surprised Izuku and Momo. You've used your power for good, you saved 𝗬𝗓𝗍 during the entrance exam, used your power to pressure 𝗬𝗱𝗏 and 𝗵𝘃𝗲 to change them, and put your life on the line to protect everyone from the Momo. You've done so much for us, so the least we can do is trust you, and like Aizawa said during the discussion, lying about it wouldn't really be to your advantage. You have nothing to gain by lying, so why tell such a story while you knew people might not believe you, All Might stated. Everyone in this room decided to believe what you said. However, we do have a request, 𝗍𝗍 stated. Sure, go ahead, Izuku said. We want to test your power. In a few weeks, we want you to fight one-on-one against All Might. That way we can see just how powerful you really are, 𝗍𝗍 explained. Fine by me, Izuku said with a grin. I wanted to fight All Might anyway to see where I stand, Izuku stated with a grin. With that, the conversation was over. The teachers and Momo knew his secret, and both he and Momo had a new bond which slowly got stronger and stronger.